We are live, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You know it's going to be a long meeting at the City Council when staff gives you 2 waters. We typically start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I know we have a lot of young athletes here tonight. Can I get one of the young athletes to come up to the front and start us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Can I get a volunteer from one of the young ball players to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yes, please. Come on, both of you. Have both of them come up. I think there was one other. Yeah, come on. Both of you, come on up. Was there another volunteer? Yeah, come on up. Anybody, any of the athletes that want to come on up, come on up. Any of the athletes, come on up. Now, girls, what I want you to do, please, the flag's over here. So let's put our hand on our heart. And we're going to rise and we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And you start and we're going to come in, okay? Are you ready? Yeah. Whenever you're ready. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Outstanding. Well, if they can throw a pitch as well as they do the pledge, watch out. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do something a little different tonight. Normally, when we close a meeting in memory of somebody, we do it at the end of the meeting. But tonight, I felt it was important for us to recognize this individual that passed away on August the 9th because of the significant contributions she made to our area for many years. And I'm speaking about former State Senator Ellen Marie Corbett. So Ms. Corbett, so we're going to close tonight's meeting in her memory, but let me tell you a little bit about her, please. She was born in Oakland, California on December 31, 1954. Although her family moved to San Leandro when she was a young child, Oakland always held a special place in Senator Corbett's heart. And she often reminded her staff the Corbett crew, Senate District 10, represented a small slice of Oakland. Senator Corbett was one of 5 children. Her initiate political instincts were honed at an early age by her father. She became a mainstay in San Leandro civic life. Senator Corbett attended Bishop O'Dowd. Now, those of you that attend Moreau or attended Moreau, we're okay with that. Okay, we're okay with that. Chabot Community College, Cal State Hayward, UC Davis, and McGeorge School of Law. Senator Corbett rocked the political landscape of San Leandro when she became the city's first elected female mayor. This was a time that women, let alone young mothers, were not the vision of elected officials in San Leandro. After serving as mayor, she successfully ran for Assembly District 18, and in 2006 was elected to the State Senate District 10. Senator Corbett's legislative agenda covered a broad range of issues, including working families, environmental protections, and consumer rights. Senator Corbett was a fierce fighter for her constituents. Responding in a compassionate and thoughtful manner was always at the forefront of her district office, a constant reminder to staff that these constituents are truly who we serve. When San Leandro Hospital was in danger of closing, Senator Corbett brought attention and resources to ensure San Leandro Hospital remained open. An environmentalist at heart, Senator Corbett often held legislative walks in the beautiful hills of the East Bay to hear from her district. Senator Corbett passed legislation to protect the privacy of stalking and domestic violence victims, requiring training on gender identity and sexual orientation for judges, and served as lead author of the California Homeowners Bill of Rights. Senator Corbett became the second woman to serve as California's Senate Majority Leader from 2010 to 2014. From her beautiful African violet-filled office, she often told visitors her first job in the Capitol building was that of a tour guide. As daunting as her work in Sacramento was, Senator Corbett drove home from Sacramento every day during the school year to be with her son, Ryan. As a single mother, she was dedicated to Ryan and her family, as well as the people of California. Forever a public servant, Senator Corbett was serving on the East Bay Regional Park District when she passed away. So we will close tonight's meeting in the memory of Senator Corbett and all the contributions she made over many years to our area. And I'll turn to my colleagues to see if there's any further comments. Senator Apodaca. Senator. Councilmember Apodaca.
Okay. I was fortunate to have known Ellen since 1998 when she was mayor running for assembly, and my boss was assembly member running for state senate. And so over the years, working closely with her as an assembly member and especially her staff, you get to know them very, very well. Back then, the two assembly districts were within one senate district, and so there was a lot of issues that we had to work collaboratively on in both offices. And it was always a pleasure to work with Ellen and her staff. Ellen was so committed to the community, and when she became state senator to represent Newark, I knew we were in safe hands. I was fortunate that she was so supportive of women. As you heard, she was the first woman mayor in San Leandro. She supported me when I ran for city council back in 2005. She did not hesitate. If you go back and look at those brochures, you'll see Ellen and me in a picture together. And that's what people remember. That's what the State Senate Women's Caucus, the State Legislative Women's Caucus, as well as the State Senate closed in her memory, knowing that she was an advocate for her constituency as well as for women throughout the area. And so it is a great loss to our community. She fought to the end, and we will definitely miss her.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Collazo.
Well, I didn't know her as closely as Anna did, but one thought that stands out in my mind is when I was elected, I went out to introduce myself at an event. I said, Senator Corbett, I said, I'd like to introduce myself. Oh, I know exactly who you are already, she told me. So I had her support, and she was an amazing woman, and she will truly be missed, yes.
Thank you. Other comments? So we will close tonight's meeting in her memory. Roll call, please. Let the record show that all members of the City Council are present. We're going to do a couple of presentations. First, proclaiming September 19th through 22 as Newark Days. And for those of you that aren't aware, Newark Days is our birth date. Is there anyone other than the Newark Days folks, because I know they know, that can tell me how many years we have been, we will be a city this year? Not Councilman Collazo.
And you can't read this shirt.
You can't read the shirt. Well, this is going to be our 69th birthday, so we're going to proclaim this as Newark Days. And I'll ask Lori Getz to join me at the podium, please.
We're gonna have the whole committee.
Great.
The committee that's.
Great, let me read the proclamation and then have you come up and join me, okay? You don't know, before I even read this, you don't know the amount of work that these folks do year in and year out. It's a mighty group of volunteers. And this Newark Days, which grows every year in terms of participation, is because of the work that these folks do year in and year out. And it's not like let's start like a month before the event. They're starting this like in January or February of the year. So a great deal of work goes into this. And oh, by the way, they're volunteers, okay? They're volunteers. That's what makes our community such a great community, because we have folks like this that are dedicating their time and their effort to not only make sure that we recognize Newark, but we make it a weekend of fun and activity for all of our residents. And so it's great pride that I proclaim proclamation number 1923, whereas the Newark Days Committee annually celebrates the birth date of our city during the month of September. Whereas this is a time to celebrate the community of Newark in all its aspects. Whereas this is a time when all Newark residents are encouraged to explore rich heritage and a time to recognize the multicultural contributions of divergent people who come together to create a common sense of community. Whereas this is also a time when we encourage Newark residents to pause and reflect on the values that we represent as a community, so succinctly stated in our Newark Days celebration motto, people, pride, and progress. Now, therefore, I, Michael Hannon, Mayor of the City of Newark, on behalf of my colleagues on the City Council, declare September 19th through the 22nd as Newark Days, and I would then ask Lori and the team to come on up and accept the proclamation. Let's hear it for them. Outstanding.
Thank you. Do you want me to talk?
Yeah, feel free if you'd like to say a few words.
So I do want to do a remembrance thing as well, because Shirley Sisk is the one who started this whole Newark Days. So I will always remember her and always thank her for the great committee that she formed, because the committee is what it's all about. And everybody on the committee does work very hard. Newark Days this year is all about let the games begin. It's not only the Mario and the video games, but it's also the family nights, you know, the chess and the checkers and the red light, green light that we have and so forth. And that's not Squid Games, by the way. That's just regular red light, green light, which, by the way, is what the kids will be playing at the kids' night on Friday night. So we have so many different things going on this year. We've grown every year, and this year we plan to grow as well with all the activities that we have. We have Ramona, who is in charge of the parade, which has grown immensely. She's going to talk a little bit about the parade, and then Dave took over the music aspect, as well as he's also still kind of doing the parking and a little bit of the parade. We all wear many hats. We all wear many hats, but Newark Days is such a fun time. My favorite thing is to be able to stand there and watch everybody have a great time. And it is by far the best thing Newark has for the year. Thank you very much. We have a gift for the mayor. And I know we've never given a shirt to our city manager, but in conjunction of being partners with the city, we gave a shirt to David. And then, Ramona, you want to talk about the...
Sure.
You guys open your present.
Well, we're going to have a fantastic parade again this year. I have been getting applications every day for the past 3 months. And so many new organizations are going to be in this parade. I can't believe it. I'm going to say we got a kids race cars that are coming in. A lot of different organizations, like I said. We've got, our horses are coming in, about anywhere from 20 to 40 horses they threaten me with every year. Let's see, what do we got? I've got 8 high school bands.
This year.
Actually, 6 high school, 2 junior high. That's the most bands we've had in 1 year, so it's going to be crazy. We have organizations, all of the schools, all of grade schools, and including Bridgepoint, going to have walkers in the parade, and they have a blast. We've got our fire department, and we have to thank the police department for everything that they're helping us with the safety and security to make sure that we can have a safe parade. Let's see, what I got. Our Grand Marshal this year is a group. We're going to have the boys soccer team from Newark Memorial High School. They won the 2024 CIF Boys Soccer Division III Championship this past year, so we wanted to recognize them for that. Of course, the City Council is going to be there, the Board of Education. I've got 6 dance groups coming in there, so a lot of dancing going on. ArcNew's going to make a entrance there in the parade, so be watching for ArcNew. The Scouts, we got the Boy Scouts, we got the Cub Scouts. Cub Scouts are helping the horses get through, as we well know. People who follow the horses love the Scouts. Army, submarine vets, Sea Cadets, American Legion, just so many more that I'd have to have my whole list here. I want to hear, but I want to thank everybody for coming to the parade and helping out. And we've got a lot of volunteers also, volunteers from the high school, and a lot of organizations that are helping us in the parade and in the parking, which David will talk about. But I think you'll like it. It's going to be long. It's going to be a lot of people in that parade. So enjoy.
Who likes live music? I am really, really excited about what we have coming for you. We start on Friday night with a band called Mystique. We continue through and finishing off something new this year that we haven't done before is after our birthday bash, we have a closeout band called the David Martin House Party. They're a premier Bay Area private party group that has played before thousands in private events. Total of 5 really big names that are Northern California bands. Couple of locals, including our own Newark Symphonic Winds, will play for us again. And then special this year, we have a high-flying high-flying trampoline acrobatic acts. They'll be doing 3 performances on Saturday and Sunday called Flippin' Out. So come, stay for as much as you can. Lots of music to enjoy. And if you go to our website, www.newarkdays.org, you can see the full list, times and everything. Hope to see you there. And by the way, we would love to have more volunteers to help us out with 2025. You can also find out how to volunteer on that website.
Yes.
One, two, three, smile. We're going to.
Hold it, proclamation. Oh.
There we go. Sorry. Papers.
Oh. All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
everybody.
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock on Sunday, we sing happy birthday to the city of Newark. And it's typically cupcakes or a cake.
There's cupcakes,
So, and they're free.
and there's the birthday bash where they have gifts.
Yes.
going for the-
Yes, for the iPads.
There's gonna be 2 switches
Okay,
in honor of the game.
excellent. So, 4 o'clock, happy birthday, opportunity to win some really nice prizes. So thank you again for all that you do. We're a volunteer community here in Newark. What makes us a great community is because of folks like this and others that volunteer throughout the community on a variety of activities. So if you have some time, a few hours, whatever the case may be, we can always use volunteers. The next proclamation is 1924 for National Preparedness Month. Whereas September is recognized as National Preparedness Month, a time dedicated to promoting awareness and encouraging individuals, families, organizations, and businesses to plan and prepare for emergencies. Whereas effective preparedness ensures that we are ready to handle unexpected events such as natural disasters, cybersecurity attacks, biohazard exposures, household chemical emergencies, pandemics, acts of violence in public places, and extreme weather events. Boy, that's kind of scary, all that stuff. Ultimately safeguarding our community's well-being and resilience. Whereas the PPRR, Plan, Prepare, Respond, Recover framework is an essential strategy for managing emergency situations, enhancing our readiness, and supporting recovery efforts. Whereas our local businesses and organizations play a key role in fostering a culture of preparedness by implementing emergency plans and encouraging employee readiness through the PPRR program. Whereas the City of Newark's PPRR program, say that like 5 times real fast, between March 23 and August 24, has trained 84 businesses in Newark with 338 individuals trained and 55 individuals completing all trainings in fire extinguisher, CPR, abdominal thrust maneuver, and personal injury preparedness. And I'll digress here for just a moment. We've all been in restaurants and I've seen people that are choking, and it's amazing the number of folks are not sure what to do. So this is an opportunity for us to train ourselves, because it could be a loved one or a neighbor or a friend that's choking, and it's our responsibility as citizens to help save that person's life. Because when you cut off that oxygen, it doesn't take a lot of time for bad things to happen. Whereas the Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, provides vital training and support, empowering residents to assist in emergency situations and contribute to community safety, whereas assembling a go kit with critical supplies and developing a comprehensive emergency plan are crucial steps in individual and community preparedness. How many of you have emergency kits at home? I'm going to put you on the spot for that earthquake. Outstanding. Outstanding. Whereas registering for emergency alert systems such as AC Alert through Alameda County and Nixle through City of Newark Police Department can provide vital information to assist community members during an emergency. Now, therefore, I, Michael Hannon, on behalf of my city council, declare September as National Preparedness Month in Newark and urge all residents, businesses, and organizations to prepare and evaluate their emergency plan, as well as participate in emergency preparedness training and activities. Richard and the CERT team, are you going to come up and accept this proclamation? Thank you. David Libby, the gentleman to my left. David, how long have you been a member of CERT?
23 years.
23 years. That's a man dedicated to the city of Newark, dedicated to make sure that he gets the word out as well as his other members of the team to make sure that we are safe and prepared for that emergency. So I'm going to go ahead and present this certificate to you, David. Okay. And I want to thank the rest of the team for what they do. And I don't know if somebody wanted to say a few words, Richard, David, whomever. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the City Council and Mayor Hannon, and of course, the city manager and the assistant city manager for this honor. It's great to be recognized for all the work that we do. Now, I'm going to give every single one of you something to do. When was the last time you checked your emergency kit? Yeah. Okay. When was the last time you looked at your Go Kit? How many of you know what a Go Kit is? Okay, so there are a lot of little hands that were sitting there quietly in its lap. So I'm going to make you an offer, and you're going to watch my city official here go, oh, don't you dare.
Turn the timer on for Richard.
Sheila's my friend. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to go to our city website. I would like you to take a look at the list of things that we have to offer to you to come to our meetings, where every single month we have some piece of training. It's always free. I would love to see your faces there, because without you, I'm going to be there alone. It's not nice. It's not pretty. It scares the janitor. So please come. Please get yourself educated. There are no costs. It's just a matter of time, and it's only once a month, and you're going to cover a whole bunch of subjects that you never even thought of, and in the meantime, you can get a new list for your Go Kit, okay? Thank you very much. And I want to take just a moment, if I can, just to my immediate left is Ellen Wood. You're going to get to know Ellen real well if you get your name on her list, because every month she's going to send you a notice. Okay, and she's very good at it, and she's excellent. I'd love to have her on my team. And then Kelly Jo is part of the system, and she is, what's your official title? Intern? I don't. Okay, so she's a very shy person, but she's extraordinary. Yeah, she's extraordinarily hardworking. And Rudy Kelly is our man who heads up our communication team. And we have a lot of communication. I don't want to take the time to go over that with you. And Yamel is a team member, and you joined us, what, 2 years ago? 2 years? Yeah, 2 years ago. And then, of course, everybody, if you don't know him, this is Richard Martinez. And he is one of the backbones of our system. Get to know all of these folks. They're going to help you to help your families to make our job easier during a disaster. And please think about joining the CERT team. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for indulging me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But I don't want you to leave, though. I want to invite Naz and all those members of the business community forward, please, also to be recognized. Because, again, it's not just residential and volunteers. It's also the business communities. So could I have all the businesses come forward, from ADAM to Electro Polishing to Jack's Restaurant, La Michoacana, probably mispronounced that, Nail Chic, to Paris Nail Spa. Councilmember Collazo will get to you on this later on. Image Plus and Taqueria Los Gatos. Are those representatives here tonight, Naz? If they could all come up and be recognized. Is there anybody from the business community that wants to say a few words? You're closest, my friend.
Well, yeah, I'm really grateful to be a member of the community of Newark. I think that it's a really important investment in being prepared. You're spending a few hours of the month, and it potentially could save a life. So I think it's a reward worth investing in. So I'm really grateful to be part of it, and thank you so much.
And I also want to, as David mentioned, I want to introduce Richard. Richard, why don't you come on up and say a few words, please?
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about both programs. So the CERT program, we have a CERT Academy. It's 20 hours coming up in October. So if you want to be part of our CERT program, this is a great way to kick off and learn the different skills that can save yourself, your family during a disaster, and your neighborhood as well. Also want to just mention real quick about the PPRR program. This is something that our economic development team started to develop with myself and Alameda County Fire. Alameda County Fire has been a great partner in this program, offering the trainings, whether it's fire extinguisher training, personal emergency preparedness training, where you can put a plan together for yourself and your family, and you can practice that plan on a regular basis. And then, of course, hands-only CPR, as well as abdominal thrust maneuver. And I just want to say thank you to all of these businesses who took the time to make that opportunity for each of their employees. Makes the city of Newark, as well as their businesses, a little bit safer and more prepared for the next disaster. So if you have a business here in the city of Newark, or you know somebody who works for a business in the city of Newark, please let them know about this program and encourage them to be a part of this. And we also want to thank the mayor, because the mayor has shown up to a few of the trainings after the completion of the 3 trainings to recognize the employees who did complete that. So we want to thank the mayor for being a valuable person for our program. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear it one more time for all these great folks. So I now have new and favorite restaurants to add to my list, because I know if I go in there and I start choking, they've all been trained. So I'll be good. On a more serious note, and all of us have been touched by family members, friends, neighbors that are currently suffering with that disease, cancer, or have died from cancer. My mother died at the age of 59 from lung cancer. Data, and that was almost 40 years ago. So a day doesn't go by. If you lose somebody to cancer, you certainly never forget. I had a nephew that had leukemia, and if you have that, you know, you're not quite sure if that person's going to make it. He did, and he's doing fine. So this is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas according to the American Childhood Cancer Organization, childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease for children in the United States, and one of every 6 children are not expected to live past the age of 5. Whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that approximately 9,620 children in the United States under 15 years of age will be diagnosed with cancer in 2024. Whereas most children cannot be treated at a local hospital, and families must face the disruption of relocating to receive treatment at a regional cancer center, whereas pediatric cancer research receives only 4% of all federal funding for cancer research, a fact that demonstrates why awareness and fundraising participation is so important. Whereas due to children's bodies still growing and cancer treatments largely guard toward use on adults, children are more likely to experience long-term side effects from treatment. Whereas childhood cancer is handled by a team of pediatric oncologists and surgeons, radiation oncologists, pediatric oncology nurses, nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants, whereas some of the most important members of pediatric cancer patients' team are experienced parents who navigate and advocate on behalf of their children. Whereas a result of major treatment advances in recent decades, more than 85% of children with cancer now survive 5 years or more. 85%. We need to do better, but 85% is a significant step in the right direction. Now, therefore, I, Michael Hannon, the mayor of Newark, and along with my colleagues on the city council, declare September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in Newark, and encourage everyone to join the fight against childhood cancer and to participate in activities and events that promote awareness of childhood cancer and support families affected by this devastating disease, not just during September, and that's true, all year round. All year round. And let's see if we can't make significant, we'll probably issue this proclamation next year. Let's see if we can make a significant dent in that 9,620 children that may not survive past the age of 15 this year. So let's see what we can do as citizens and parents to see if we can't make a significant impact on that. And if I could invite Angela Crawford, please, to come up and join me with the Jammer Strong Foundation to accept the proclamation.
Thank you very much. I'd like to also introduce our president, Daniel Cardenas.
Of course. Let me present this to you.
Thank you so much.
And have you feel free.
Hi, everybody. Wow, as a longtime resident of Newark, I'm so happy to see so many faces here, even if it is for softball, which is also near and dear to my heart. I won't speak on that later, but I will let you know I'm in my 40s and I played at Snow. So. Now,
I want to stop with you. She was not a plant. We're in a conversation.
You're welcome. No, softball is a dear part of Newark, so I have to stand by you with that. Okay. As far as pediatric cancer goes, the Jammer Strong Foundation was, not gonna cry, is named after my nephew, who was diagnosed in 2020 with a rare form of pediatric cancer. And when you are thrust into that type of situation, your first instinct is, oh God, now what? What do we do, right? And I am very happy to say that the pediatric cancer community is a very tight-knit community, but the majority of work we do is on the families. So we're always trying to find the best way to reach out and build more support. Like the mayor said, children only get 4% of funding, of all federal funding. So you can imagine how much weighs on the shoulders of families. And so we decided to, now what? Let's get our hands dirty and see what we can do. We met Daniel, who met Jammers, Jameson, my nephew, who met him and fell in love with him and said, okay, I'm with you guys. And next thing we knew, 501c3, here we come. And it's been an amazing ride since 2020. And we became official in 2022 is when we got our 501c3 officially set up. And we've been working hard ever since. You want to say something, Daniel?
Just add one
Yeah, absolutely.
quick thing. So Angela said it very beautifully. Thank you, Mayor, for your beautiful words to the entire council. Thank you guys for recognizing September as Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. The Jammer Strong Foundation does some amazing things. We've been out, helping the summer scamper. We've raised a tremendous amount of money, thousands of dollars for the Lucille Packard Children's Hospital. And let me tell you, the nurses and doctors that are there have done an amazing job with her nephew and this little boy that it only takes a second to look into his eyes, and you know he deserves a fighting chance as much as anybody does. His name is Jameson, Jammers. We call him Jammers. He has this very rare form of cancer called DLGNT.
Good job.
Diffuse leptomeningeal glomerular tumors. No parent should ever learn or even care or should even get involved in what that actually even means. It means that you have 100 tumors between your spine and brain. All right, and no cure, but we are not going to take that. And no family, no parent is going to sit back and say that we're going to accept that outcome. So we're out doing incredible things. We raise a lot of money, we raise a lot of awareness, we raise it for research, but awareness and research isn't enough. It also requires action. And the mayor said, I mean, listen, for all the softball players that are here and all you parents that are here, it doesn't require you having pediatric cancer hit your family to get involved. I think a lot of us sit back and we watch from the sidelines for far too long and wait for something to happen for us to take interest in it. It didn't hit my family. I'm very fortunate. I have 4 healthy boys. But you know what it did is it changed every one of my boys' lives by being involved with the Jammer Strong Foundation. It's taught them that, you know what, that families out there need a community, that families out there need support, and that by giving them support, we can make a difference for families. And we say that in our shirts. We say, together we fight, because that's what it's all about. Together we fight for a cure and for action. And I'll say this last piece, Mayor, unfortunately I didn't bring you a shirt, and council, I didn't bring you guys a shirt, but if you'd like, go to the jammersstrong.com and then go down to merch, and you guys can buy these shirts, and a portion of those proceeds go to helping pediatric cancer and research. Man, thank you guys so much for having us here. Mayor, I wanted to commend you on your Spanish. Man, you are on point with what was it again? Michoacan? What?
La Michoacana.
La Michoacana.
Good food.
And the Jammer Strong Foundation will also donate WD-40 for that door back there. There you go.
You know, I actually thought Daniel was going to give me that shirt, but then he realized, shoot, this is a medium. There's no way the mayor's fitting in that medium. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The last person I want to recognize, and she's not here, of course, this evening, Councilmember Collazo and I had a chance to attend Ruth Orta's 90th birthday celebration. And Ruth is a member of the Lejeune Ohlone Natives. And her family wanted to give her a birthday party, and we held it over at the pavilion. And I just want to read part of the proclamation that we issued to Ruth. She was born in 1934. Her childhood consisted of hard work in the apricot fields with her family. Ruth was proud as an indigenous native to tend to the land. Trina married
Rano?
Ireneo Rano, a descendant of Mexico, and had 4 additional children. Ruth would become the backbone of the family, helping her mother raise her siblings, instilling pride in their native and Mexican heritage. Whereas in 1950, Ruth met future husband, Raymond Orta. They had 7 children. I told Ruth, oh, by the way, I had 7 children, Ruth. We have a lot in common. Ramona, Roberta, Raymond Jr., Renee, Rachel, Robin, and Rick. Ruth was commended by the city of Newark for her heroic duty in keeping her school bus passengers safe during an attempted kidnapping. She later joined the Valley Transportation Authority as a bus driver, being awarded a professional certificate of safe driver of 2 million miles before becoming a light rail train operator. Ruth exemplified what her mother instilled in her to always believe you can do anything you want to do and set your mind to. And don't let anyone tell you you can't, and to encourage your family that you make your dreams come true. Long-time resident of the city of Newark, we are proud, Councilmember Collazo and I, to present her with that commendation on her 90th birthday. So let's, Councilmember Collazo.
Can I add that that picture was just family members? There was 250 guests. And it was wonderful, wonderful to see. So all those were her children, her grandchildren, and her great-great-grandchildren. Yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is public comment. This would be the opportunity for members of the public to speak on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Please, sir. I didn't get that kind of an applause when I spoke.
Sharp dress
Welcome.
guy.
Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Patrick. Council members, you may know me from your email inbox recently. I'm on the board for the Newark Girls Softball League, aka Bobby Sox. I've emailed you all about this, but in case you need a refresher, Newark Girls Softball League, aka NGSL, has been around for 5 decades. We provide a volunteer-run, community-funded, nonprofit, recreational softball league for girls aged 4 to 14 to learn the game, make friends, and grow. We welcome girls from any skill level or experience to join and make friends, and offer scholarships so that any girl, regardless of their circumstances, can have the same opportunity as everyone else. Our home, as you know, is Snow Elementary. Snow has been our home for as long as anyone can remember, and over the last 50 years, we have slowly built Snow's playfields into the softball complex that's there today. At Snow, there exist 4 full backstops with dugouts and dirt infields. There also exist a snack shack, 3 large storage sheds full of what we need to use and maintain the fields, and 4 storage lockers. All of this we have contributed over many years, but unfortunately are permanent to Snow Elementary. See, the MOU we have used with the school district stipulates that all of these improvements we have made to the site are property of the school district. And we've made these improvements in good faith because we believed in the mutually beneficial relationship that worked for so many decades at Snow. However, Snow Elementary, along with Music Elementary, was closed 2 years ago, and its students were moved to other schools in the area. Snow is now basically abandoned, with little oversight. And when this decision was made, NGSL was unfortunately not a priority, and it is clear now that there was no consideration given to our relationship. Regardless, we've actually continued to play at Snow the last 2 years, and we've assumed that we would be allowed to continue playing there until such time as there are other plans at Snow. And we did so by maintaining the site ourselves, despite, unfortunately, rampant vandalism. In addition to our normal coaching and league duties, we've spent Saturdays cleaning up broken windows, sweeping up bonfires made from abandoned children's books, and we painted over racist graffiti so that our children would feel safe. But just this week, we were told that Snow Elementary is no longer available for us to use. A meeting was held without NGSL present between the school district and the city, and we were asked instead for $500,000 to convert the fields at Lincoln Elementary into 2 brand new softball fields, which would be half of what we currently have. We've gone from sharing a home for 50 years to being kicked out, the door locked behind us, and being told by our landlords that we can have a room across the hall that's half the size and costs $500,000 to build. Obviously, we can't do this, and thus we need help. So the reason I'm here is to point out that while we may be without home right now, we are not without hope. To keep going, though, we need help. And to put it bluntly, we need fields to play at. I believe that the district's proposed plan is not our only option. In order to find creative solutions, we made a list for that same committee of places that would work for our needs, and we were told that all of them were already allocated to other youth groups with no further explanation. In fact, we were told to look into partnering with local churches to see if they have any land we could use. I'm here to ask you, the City Council, to intervene on our behalf. The good news is we've actually already been contacted by the Recreation and Community Services Department to find a solution. We have a meeting scheduled for September 24th to find a way to share park fields with Newark Little League and Newark FC in order to keep softball alive in 2025. And as the City Council, we would greatly appreciate your support in this initiative. If we are to play softball next year, it will have to involve the cooperation of the city. And I appreciate the city's forward thinking on this matter, and I am optimistic for that meeting. However, this meeting at best can only provide a short-term solution. I've been involved personally with Little League in the past, and I currently also coach for Newark FC. And these are great organizations that I don't want to take anything away from. And all 3 organizations, including ours, are growing in a way that benefits our city and our kids immensely. However, that growth behooves assistance. Newark Little League and Newark FC were already crunched for space before NGSL was added to the equation, and now things are going to be particularly cramped. I know you care about the girls and the families of those girls in Newark, and that you don't want to see this organization that has served this community for 50 years die without a whimper. This is the sort of cause about why you joined city government in the first place. For our kids to continue to play, we need fields in the short term, and we need investment in a home that can last another 50 years. We're happy to get creative and work with other organizations, be they soccer, baseball, cricket, rugby, football, whatever. We're willing to work the soil, we'll clean the walkways, we'll maintain the fields as shared stewards of the city we all love. And we want to partner with the city and Newark in this regard. What we are unable to do, though, is invent fields out of thin air, and we cannot pull $500,000 out of a magic hat. We're asking you to commit to helping us survive the next few years, and furthermore, to commit to partnering with us to find a home, for this league for the long-term future. There are more than 100 local girls, many of whom are in attendance today and growing, that are hoping that answer from all of you is yes. Time, unfortunately, is of the essence. We cannot begin recruitment for the spring season without help, so please help us. Thank you.
As you can imagine, the City Council, unfortunately, is not able to comment on items that are under the public comment section. But I will say this, we hear you loud and clear. We as the council, when we talk about our community, we think of recreation as being a significant part of what makes Newark a great place to live, work, and play. So we recognize that. Mr. Benoon.
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. Ordinarily, comments are presented to the council from staff. May I have consent to speak directly to members in the audience, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is David Benoon. I'm the city manager for the city of Newark. I just want to reiterate what the mayor indicated. State law prohibits council members from collectively discussing items that do not appear on the agenda. There's not enough notice for the public. I just want to make a couple of comments. We're allowed to make brief comments, and that's it. I don't want anybody to walk away thinking that the council's lack of a response is interpreted as some sort of sign of disinterest. Nothing could be further from the case. Council members have contacted me on individual basis the past week or so, inquiring as to the status of the fields and whether or not everybody's gonna be able to play ball come spring. Just a little bit about myself. I was born and raised here in Newark. I played, I don't know how many seasons in Newark Little League. I coached our son, he just aged out of Little League. for so many years, did the field work, all that fun stuff. Coach teams, managed 2 all-star teams, almost made it out of sectionals this past summer. It was great. Our assistant city manager is actively working on this in coordination with our rec director. Ms. Hovorka's one of the 2 daughters played several seasons, 6, 7, 8 seasons, whatever it was, with the softball league before she went up to the high school. We legitimately care about the community. We're active, we're vested. Clearly, there's a bunch of benefits from having youth recreational sports, whether it be physical, emotional health benefits, but also just social skills and development. We all know that there's limited field space here in Newark. We only have 2 softball/baseball fields. We do have parks. We're going to work collaboratively with you and the other leagues in the school district to come up with solutions. As the speaker identified, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, there's short-term solutions and long-term solutions. Short-term speaking, yes, we're going to sit down and meet, I think it's 10 or 11 days. I've received confirmation from your group as well as 1 or 2 other groups plus the school district. As far as the other organization that hasn't responded yet, I'll be speaking with the president either tomorrow or this weekend on his personal phone. We hope to have some sort of, it's going to require some significant discussions. We're going to provide dinner. We'll sit there as long as we can and come up with some sort of reasonable solution for spring so that all kids can play ball. As far as long-term solutions, I'm discussing with our community development director some potential ways to address this. Obviously, we have a closed school site. It's not serving any purpose at this point, and I think there's ways that we can enhance everybody's recreational opportunities here in Newark, and we'll be actively working on that. Again, I don't know if the city attorney is going to get queasy if I continue speaking, but we're not, that's pretty much as I can say and as far as I can go at this point. I know the council, again, is very interested in this. I believe one of the council members might have played in that league when she was younger. So we do legitimately care about the community. We're here for public service, and we look forward to working with you. That's all I can really add. Ms. Savorka, I don't know if you have anything else to add. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Benoon. Are there any other speakers on the softball issue? If not, I think the city is moving forward in a direction that we hope to come up with both a short-term and a long-term solution. The date that I heard was September the 24th, and I certainly encourage you folks to, Andrew, for you folks to certainly continue to participate. And our responsibility as council members and school board members is to solve problems. And so this has been an issue that's been brought to our attention. We'll certainly do our best to see if we can't do something about it. So thank you for that. Other speakers on non-agendized, yes, ma'am, come on up, please. No, on the, at the end, yeah. Hi.
Hi, good evening. My name is Veronica Reyes Gallardo, and good evening, members of the City Council. I'm the president of Old Town Business Association, volunteering, and my whole crew over there. As a president of the Old Town Association, OTBA is a volunteer-driven organization dedicated to strengthening the identity of Old Town Newark and supporting our local businesses and community. It's a new organization that was just put into play with all the new development that's happening in Old Town Newark. Old Town Newark is growing, guys. You guys go down and visit. The OTBA focuses on promoting collaboration among businesses in Old Town, advocating for the interests of our businesses and our community, coordinating marketing efforts to enhance Old Town's reputation as a unique district. It also the organization will also be acting as a liaison between Old Town businesses and the city of Newark, empowering businesses through collective action and self-determination. The goal for Old Town Business Association and to fulfill a mission is to organize events to highlight Old Town's cultural and economic offerings, improve the overall perception of Old Town as a destination, not a forgot town. Engage at least 60% of our businesses in our activities and establish a membership to strengthen and influence our Old Town. We do have an organizational structure and governance, and OTBA operates as a all-volunteer organization with governance led by a board of directors, including myself, Carolina Reyes, Adam Modelski, Hector Soto, Harpal Mann, Janet Lopez, Net Pham, and yours truly, Susie Collazo. Decisions are made by majority of vote in this organization. And again, the leadership is our small little group that's here. We are in need of volunteers. If anybody wants to volunteer. We do need a secretary, and we do need a second person to help us out with some of the event organization. One of the things is obviously with everything that we do in the city, and anytime there's volunteer, we need memberships and we need eligibility and finances. So right now, membership is open to any business owner with Old Town Newark, and any members that are interested in supporting our goals. Financial contributions will be determined on project basis. Currently, the first project that we have is we're going to be attending Dia de los Muertos. We're going to have an informational table there, and everybody's welcome to come and get as much information and what the purpose of our goal for OTBA is. And, really at the end of this is taking this opportunity to introduce to not only you, the city council, but also to our community that OTBA is committing to fostering a vibrant business community in Old Town Newark, much needed. Throughout collaborative efforts, transparent governance, and active engagement, we believe that structure provides a solid foundation to achieve our goals and strengthen our community, which is much needed in Old Town.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little bit of background, my family's been in Newark for over 40 years. My parents have owned businesses in Newark, and we have many family members that have owned businesses, small business, family businesses in Old Town Newark for many years. And I think it's a commitment for us, not only as a family, but as a community, to be able to enhance and grow with the new initiatives that are coming through with Newark and Old Town.
Before you leave, Veronica, I just want to let you know that Old Town is we're committed to Old Town. The city and this council is committed to Old Town. We held our first State of the City address in Old Town, outdoors, first time in our city history. So we recognize the importance of Old Town, the businesses that contribute to the vibrancy of the neighborhoods in the Old Town neighborhood. And I'm excited about the future of Old Town. And so we're going to see a transformation. We're going to see a revitalization. We're all going to be parts of it.
Yeah.
So thank you for what you do, and thank you to the Business Association. Let's hear it for them.
Thank you.
Councilmember Collazo probably wanted to say something, but I made sure that she recused herself.
Good job, Mija.
Other speakers on items not on the agenda, please. Yes, please come forward. Your hand up, yes. Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Nanette Mickelson. My colleagues and I live in Alameda County and are volunteers with United Sovereign Americans, not spokespersons. United Sovereign Americans is a nationwide organization with thousands of active volunteers in over 20 states. Today we come to you as concerned citizens sharing alarming information about our state's voter roll database. Research of the state's voter database was done through hundreds of hours of research conducted by highly qualified and credentialed data teams. An analysis of the 2022 election researched by the highly qualified data teams using only official data provided by California election officials indicates serious issues with compliance of federal law. We are here to present to you and the public the results of the aforementioned analysis showing the votes cast, counted, and certified may not all be valid and accurate under the Constitution and under the law. We are not here to cast any blame or aspersions on elected officials. We do not suggest any candidates in any race have wrongly won or lost their races, nor do we advocate for the overturning or rerunning of any past election. Tonight we will present you with a resolution demanding an end to the inaccuracy and uncertainty plaguing our elections, along with a summary of our findings and the laws that apply. Though you bear no direct responsibility for anything in the electoral process, we come to you, our closest elected representatives, for support and action. We're asking that you listen to the resolution and take the necessity for valid elections seriously by adding the resolution to your next meeting agenda. Whereas it is a recognized civil right in the United States for every citizen to have free and fair elections. Whereas it is the duty of our election officials to guarantee our elections are accurate and free from distortion or manipulation. Whereas our constitutional system of representative government only works when the following 4 tenets of an election are upheld. 1, the voter rolls must be accurate. National Voter Registration Act, 1993. 2, votes counted must be from eligible voters. U.S. Constitution, 14th Amendment, Section 2. 3, the number of votes counted must equal the number of voters who voted. 4, there can be no more than 1 in 125,000 ballots in error by the voting system. Help America Vote Act, 2002. I will turn it over now to another speaker.
Excellent.
And to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
You can pull the mic down if that would be, yeah, there you go.
Okay. I'm here because I believe in good citizenship. And good citizenship means I know the country that I live in, the Constitution, how we run our country, and to speak out when I see things that are wrong. And that is why I'm here tonight, to speak out on issues within our election process, and I'd like to speak about that. The analysis of the California 2022 general election has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that appear to violate both federal and state laws, including 5,886,198 ineligible or uncertain registration violations found within the California State Voter Roll Database. 2,776,939 votes cast by ineligible or uncertain registrations. 123,785 more votes counted than voters who voted. No one knows who cast them. 2,776,849 apparent voting violations and excess of the legal standard of system accuracy for a valid federal election. Maximum allowable system errors for the 2022 general election was 90. Certification as defined by law is an attestation of accuracy and compliance. The certification of the 2022 election appears to have been fraudulent and illegal. Whereas these findings trample legal accuracy requirements of the voting system during a federal election. The intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted. And I would like to leave it there, and then another speaker can continue on that. And just one comment that I would like to make is I participated in using voter registrations for Alameda County, of which there were several thousand among the 16 cities that were here. I wanted to see firsthand, knocking on doors, is this really accurate? So I would go there and say, I'm looking for so-and-so, do they live here? And we already had the information that they had left, have gone to Montana, Florida, anywhere in the United States, and they haven't lived there. And I found that to be true. Maybe I could count on one hand people that had left to another state actually came back, but they're receiving ballots at that location. that as a citizen of the United States, I don't think that's the proper way to do things, and I wanted to make comment on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Christy Zulam, and I will continue reading the resolution. I'm also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans. Whereas the intent of the voters must be known factually before certification can be lawfully conducted. Whereas the 2022 general election appears to have been invalid, depriving us of the guaranteed protection of our natural rights under a government duly and provably chosen by us, the American people, resulting in incalculable damage to our families, our way of life, and the fabric of these United States. Therefore, we call upon our representatives to provide relief to the people and the assurance of domestic tranquility by joining us in demanding a valid 2024 general election that upholds these existing laws and equitable principles of law. 1, proof of citizenship, identity, and eligibility required to register and vote, not anonymous attestation. 2, voter rolls certified accurate and available for public review and challenge 30 days before the start of early voting. Voters added after that date must bring proof of citizenship, identity, and address in person to a qualified official at each polling place. 3, hand-marked secure ballots similar to currency, where imaging technology is used for tabulation. The security features must be verifiable in the ballot image. 4, systems, machines, security measures, infrastructure, and conduct are required to be compliant with federal law for fraud prevention regarding risk assessment, certification, testing, and implementation. 5, adjudication must be signed off by party, candidate, and trained citizen witness after being given full and effective observation rights. Candidates and trained citizens must be allowed immediate access to ballots, ballot images, and cast vote records. 6, ballots, regardless of entry source, election operations, and systems, must maintain end-to-end chain of custody from voter to vote count to final canvass, including audibility and witness transfer with paper records. 7, a National Institute of Standards and Technology compliant, randomized, statistically valid end-to-end audit with a 95% confidence level of all elections pursuant to the 14th Amendment. Section 2 must be performed. These audits are to be conducted by qualified, insured and bonded security, forensics, or financial auditors, not personnel from within the election system. Reconciliation will include the vote count, real physical ballots, adjudication, cast vote records, ballot count, qualified voter count, custody transfer, and all other paper and electronic election systems, including logs. 8, if the total of unique variances above is more than 10% of the margin of victory, a new election must be held in the state for those candidates affected, unless the issues can be provably corrected by a manual hand recount and a full review of records. 9, waiver of requirements is not allowed. Only end-to-end system compliance from registration through certification can guarantee the intent of the people is accurately recorded. Be it resolved that the Newark City Council members stand in support with the concerns and remedies presented here. We implore the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, California Legislature, federal legislators, law enforcement, federal and state prosecutors, judges, and both California Secretary of State and county registrars of voters to cooperate and fulfill these firm requests of the people.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
Mayor.
evening.
I continue the resolution. My name is Mark Zulam. I'm also a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans. We're a national organization in all states, in California as well. These are volunteers. So I too am not a spokesperson, not an attorney, but a volunteer. I continue the resolution, or actually the script. You have a resolution in front of you, a copy, and my name is on it. What you've heard tonight is a powerfully written resolution outlining massive inaccuracies in our 2022 election, from registration through certification. The resolution delineates meaningful remedies that will proactively protect the validity of the 2024 general election for all Americans. Your written copy cites many U.S. Supreme Court precedents and federal and constitutional mandates that support the need for such actions. Large numbers of Californians have questions about the trustworthiness of our elections. Official data shows these concerns are valid, and the law says resolving them is essential in securing our liberty. The cost for not fixing the enumerated problems is immeasurable. So we urge you to put this on the resolution on the agenda for the next City Council meeting, where you can vote to join us in support of fair, honest, and valid elections. The United Sovereign Americans website showcases our initiatives. We encourage you to go there. This is nationwide, and it's extremely informative. There are videos there, and we encourage you to go to uniteforfreedom.com and learn more about our organization and our goal to restore valid elections throughout our country. That's unite4freedom.com. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your concern and your what Newark has for our elections for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on non-agendized items? Okay, public comment is closed. We will move to the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of item D1 through D6. Are there any items staff would like pulled from the consent calendar?
Not this evening, Your Honor.
Any items that the audience would like pulled from the consent calendar? Colleagues, any items you want pulled from the consent calendar? City Manager, I would like to pull D3, please. The consent calendar does consist of 1, approval of audited demands, 2, approval of minutes, June 27th, special and regular meeting, July 8th, July 25, and August 5. 4, adopt a resolution approving proposed change order number 1 for fiscal year 2023, asphalt concrete street overlay program, project 1300 with G. Bordololo and Company, and approving a budget amendment for reapportionment of funds from fiscal year 2023 rubberized Cape Seal and Slurry Seal Program, Project 1301, to fiscal year 2023 Asphalt Concrete Street Overlay Program, Project 1300, exempt from CEQA review per CEQA guidelines, Section 15301. 5, report on administrative actions during the August recess. And 6, adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contractual services agreement with Art Builds Community for on-call public art consulting services in the amount not to exceed $135,000, amend the 2024-2026 biennial budget and capital improvement plan to appropriate $135,000 from the Art in Public Places Fund. Would someone like to move those items be approved with any item approved by resolution or ordinance be numbered consecutively, and that the reading of the title suffice for purposes of introduction or adoption of the ordinance? By Vice Mayor Freitas.
Second.
By Councilmember Collazo. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Councilmember Apodaca, it's nice to see your name up there. The technology has changed in a few years since you've been gone, hasn't it?
Quite a bit.
So, City Manager, I asked that we pull D3, which was to adopt a resolution accepting work with VSS International Incorporated for fiscal year 2023 rubberized Cape Seal and Slurry Seal program. Did you want to make any introductory comments? Folks, the reason I wanted to pull this, if you saw it in the agenda, when we did a recent survey of our community regarding what are the needs of the community, what are the things that they want us to improve upon, the condition of our streets was number 1, above all. And we had some before and after photographs in our packet that showed the real excellent work that the city has been doing in conjunction with these contractors to improve our city streets. So I wanted to be able to show those to our public so that they know we hear you and we're going to take this issue seriously, and we're certainly on our road to excuse the pun, to improve the quality of our streets. If I can continue talking, Mr. Miranda, to, kind of, give you time, or? Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
Team. My name is Michael Carmen. I am the project manager for the 2022-2023 Rubberized Cape Seal and Slurry Seal Program, Project 1301. I would be happy to quickly share with you some before and after photos of the streets that receives rubberized Cape Seal or Slurry Seal, which are two types of preventative maintenance treatments. Rubberized Cape Seal is simply rubberized aggregate topped with traditional slurry, and your standard slurry seal is emulsion liquid slurry mix. That includes asphalt emulsion, aggregate, water, and additives. The photos on the left are obviously before conditions, and the photos on the right are the new conditions after work. Let me start off here. Newark Boulevard received your traditional standard slurry seal between Thornton Avenue and Central Avenue. I think everyone knows where this is. This is facing the south direction, southbound direction at the intersection of Newark and Thornton.
Mhm.
I was in the middle of the street there at the intersection, risking my life to take this picture. Yeah, so this received your traditional slurry seal. This is another angle taken also in the middle of the street on Newark Boulevard in front of the library. As you can see, the black aggregate makes the striping really pop out, and I think it turned out really well.
Mhm.
This is taken at the southwest corner of Newark and Civic Terrace. I just put this in here to showcase the green thermoplastic, which helps identify bike lanes, and also a different angle of the Class 4 bike lanes that were also part of this project. Guava Place, I'm sure you all know where this is as well. It's off of Robertson, close to Robertson, right? They received your traditional slurry seal. Arden Street, right around the corner, received a rubberized Cape Seal. Jacaranda, that looks really nice. This is off of Smith and Birch, actually off of Smith. They received the rubberized Cape Seal. Montcalm Avenue also received the rubberized Cape Seal, and that's off of Cherry. And finally, Ebbett Street, closer to the Maury, on that side of town, they received the rubberized Cape Seal. And that's a good sample of the work we did for the VSS project, Project 1301. Thank you.
It's amazing as I looked at these before and after pictures in the council agenda. We drive our city streets, every day, and we kind of take for granted, they are what they are. But when you see them in contrast with the work that's been done, you realize, wow, they were really in bad shape, weren't they?
Yes.
But this is really quality work, and I think
you,
our
Mayor.
residents are going to be pleased when they not only see the work that we have done, but the work that we will continue to do to improve the quality of our streets. Other council comments on this item?
Question.
Yes, Councilmember Collazo.
So as I'm driving down the freeway and it's been raining, there's pieces of the freeway that tend to hold the water, and then there's areas that tend to let the water go. Is this rubberized one that lets the water go?
Rubberized.
The street, the rubberized street.
Oh, what
So-
you're observing, Councilmember Collazo, is a bird bath when there's a low spot.
No. Because, it's the whole, there's the freeway, there's patches of this, patches of that.
Yeah.
And there's the newer patches that seem like the water disappears when it rains. And then the older patches, the water stands on top of the street, the freeway, a little bit longer than on the newer side. So I was wondering if maybe that area was the rubberized.
I can't tell. I
Okay.
can't answer that question. I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of treatment they
We
put on
had
there.
lots of rain and.
We did have a lot of rain last year.
Driving down and, wow, this looks like it's, not wet and, there's water standing out.
Yeah, if it's part
in
of
this area.
our new project, then I highly doubt it's part of that
I mean, it
rubberized
looks
Cape
beautiful.
seal, because we just treated it, so.
Okay. I'd like our whole lake area done right by my house, please.
Okay.
But she'll recuse herself.
I'm gonna be gone pretty soon.
Other comments? Yes, Vice Mayor Freitas.
Looks beautiful. So the lifelong of the regular seal is to be what, like 10, 15 years?
The regular Surrey seal?
Yes.
That's to extend the life of the pavement for 5 to 7 years.
And now this rubberized,
It's more like 8 to 12.
8 to 12.
So it extends its life so that we don't have to overlay right away.
So
Because that's our other option.
it's worth it to,
Yes.
for investment purpose, even looking.
Yes, and it also allows us to do more streets. It's a lot cheaper than doing your standard 2-inch grinding overlay. So it spreads our money out.
You can, when you drive in your car, you can feel how smooth it is to drive. Yes, it's much smoother.
For the most part.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I did notice, though, that former Mayor Al Nagy's street was paved before he left office. Just, it might have just been a coincidence, but it was interesting to see how that work was done. So I don't know, maybe there is some hope in the lake area. Thank you for the excellent work. And Mr. Benoon, I'd like to have this maybe on the city's website so people can see firsthand, you know, the befores and the afters. And I know that on the city website, I think there's also a list of streets that will be undergoing paving in the near future and kind of a timeline for that. So I think the more that we reach out to our community in that regard, I think we'll see certainly a significant improvement in that survey next year when we revisit it. So thank you again for the report. With that being said, I will go ahead and make a motion to approve D3, if I can get a second.
Second.
By Councilmember Jorgens. Please vote. And that carries unanimously. Thank you again very much.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Newark accepting the work with VSS International, Inc. for fiscal year 2023 rubberized Cape Seal and Slurry Seal Project 1301.
So now we're going to move on to other business. F1 is to adopt a resolution approving the 2024 Tri-City Local Hazardous Mitigation Plan update. Mr. Benoon?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, and members of the council. Item F1 is a recommendation from staff to approve the 2024 Tri-City Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. By means of background, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, commonly known as FEMA, requires communities to have a local hazard mitigation plan. The city's 2017 plan was recently updated through a multi-jurisdictional collaborative community engagement process. The city's disaster council met last month and recommended that the council approve the plan that was attached to tonight's staff report. Tonight, the council will receive a presentation from our emergency preparedness coordinator, Mr. Richard Martinez. Mr. Martinez?
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight, I'll be providing an overview of our 2024 Tri-City Local Hazard Mitigation Plan update. In this overview, I'll be providing a background on who participated in updating the mitigation plan, why we're updating our mitigation plan, as well as the steps that we use to update this plan, which include organizing our resources, assessing our hazards and risks here in the city of Newark, also identifying the action items, some of the action items that we use to mitigate these hazards and risks, and then how we plan to implement and monitor the plan moving forward over the next 5 years, and then a recommendation. So a little bit about background on this. Who participated in this plan was a Tri-City partnership. The city of Newark, along with the city of Fremont, Union City, Alameda County Water District, and Union Sanitary District all participated in this update plan. And this was funded through a FEMA grant to bring on a contractor, Foster Morrison. We have Chris Morrison on the line tonight to answer any questions that council may have about the update. In 2000, the Disaster Act of 2000 requires that we update our plan every 5 years, and the last time we updated our plan was 2017. So we needed to update our plan. The federal government updated the Stafford Act in 2002, and what it did is laid out the steps to update your hazard mitigation plan. And so with that, with those steps, we used to update our plan. And this allows for us to be eligible for pre-disaster FEMA grants. Post-disaster grants are always eligible for jurisdictions. This is for pre-disaster mitigation. So we began by organizing our resources, and that began in the spring of 2021. The city's Office of Emergency Services reached out to the City of Fremont, the City of Union City, Alameda County Water District, as well as Union Sanitary District, to see if we wanted to put together a tri-city plan. We all agreed to that, and we also agreed that we wanted to do apply for a FEMA grant. The City of Fremont agreed to be the lead agent for that grant, and so in May of 2021 they applied for the FEMA grant. In September of 2022, the City of Fremont was awarded that grant to hire a contractor. At that time, we began the RFP process, or the request for proposals, and through that process, we hired Foster Morrison in January of 2023. In April of 2023, with Foster Morrison in place, our project team, which consisted of the 5 agencies' emergency service coordinators and Foster Morrison, developed a timeline to update this plan. Also in April of 2023, the project team identified who was going to participate as part of the planning team members. And this consisted of employees from each of the agencies, as well as other community partners to help us update our plan. In April of 2023 through January of 2024, we also did community engagement. That's a really big, important part of updating our plan, is to engage our community. And we did that in multiple facets. The first was we invited our community members and community groups to participate in the planning meetings. We held 5 planning meetings throughout the project, and we allowed our community members to be part of that process. For those community members and community groups who could not be part of the planning meetings, we also held 4 public meetings, and those were held throughout the 3 different jurisdictions throughout the project. We also used our city's website to provide information as we were updating our plan, and also our social media platforms to provide surveys asking for community engagement and community input. Once we organized our resources, we moved to start to identify the hazards and risks that could impact the city of Newark. As you see, we have 14 priority hazards that our planning team here in Newark identified that could potentially impact the city of Newark. The likelihood of future occurrences, I just want to mention, highly likely means that it either occurs on a regular basis or could potentially happen within the next year, or happens on a yearly basis. The ones that are listed as likely are ones that happen between 1 and 10 years, or has happened within the last year. The occasional and unlikely are beyond 10 years, but if they do impact us, they're going to cause major damage to our community. So our planning team wanted to make sure that we listed those hazards as a priority. Once we had identified those hazards, we started to make a plan to mitigate those risks. And we did that first by setting goals in September of 2023. Those goals focused on life safety, protection of the environment, and protection of property. With those goals in place, in October of 2023, our Newark planning team took a look at the 2017 action items that were on the hazard mitigation plan to see which ones had not been completed yet, and see if we wanted to roll those over into this new plan. One thing I do want to note is that a part of the hazard mitigation plan, it does not require us to complete any of the action items we list. We just have to be able to explain where we are in the process, and we can continue to roll them over into future plans. So with these 2017 action items, we also added a few additional new items. So we have a total of 17 action items in this current hazard mitigation plan. Also in October of 2023, our planning team received a draft plan so that they could provide input and feedback to our contractor, Foster Morrison. And so just to identify some of the action items, one of them is public education awareness. As we all know, an aware community is a prepared community. And so we want to make sure that we use our CERT team. We also have a great partnership with Alameda County Fire, who provide training in PEP and LISTOS. And we also have the PPRR program out here in our community. We also wanted to take a look at retrofitting existing facilities and address backup power to our critical facilities to ensure that they're operational during a disaster. We also want to develop plans around addressing sea level rise, storm drains, and urban forests to make sure our community is well prepared for the changing climate. We also want to enhance our GIS data system and mapping to make sure that we are able to identify critical facilities during a disaster, as well as making sure that we are able to identify areas that could potentially cause flooding. And then we also want to complete the Central Avenue Railroad overpass to ensure that we have accessibility in and out of our community. So now we're in this next step of the project, which is to implement and to monitor the plan. In March of 2024, Foster Morrison submitted the 2024 Tri-City LHMP update to Cal OES and FEMA. And in July of 2024, we received conditional approval from Cal OES and FEMA pending our jurisdiction's adoption. In August of 2024, the Newark Disaster Council met and approved recommending City Council adopt the 2024 Tri-City LHMP update. So we're here tonight and at City Council asking for consideration to adopt the 2024 Tri-City LHMP. If it is adopted, then we will send that adoption to Cal OES and FEMA to get final approval for our plan and become eligible for pre-disaster FEMA funds grants. How we plan to monitor the plan moving forward over the next 5 years is to use our Newark Disaster Council meeting once a year to take a look at the action items to make sure that they're on track, or at least we have a status update on a regular basis. I also plan to meet with all the people who've been assigned as owners of each of those action items on a more regular basis to continue to have oversight of where the action items are. So with that, we make a recommendation, our staff makes a recommendation that City Council adopt a resolution approving the 2024 Tri-City Local Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Is there anyone in the public that has questions or comments on this item? Colleagues, questions? Councilor Apodaca.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. I noticed, thank you, first of all, it was like a good reality check. A little scary when reading it, but at the same time knowing that we have to be prepared. So I want to thank you for all your hard work and working as a Tri-City. I think that's very important for our community. I did notice that in 2017, it specifically said that Newark Unified was a partner, but they're not as listed as one of the partners. How are they being included in this?
I'm sorry, council member. Yes, we did extend the invite for them to participate in the plan update. So they just were not a partner, but they were invited to participate.
So did they participate or?
They did not participate in the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are we including them in this process and making sure?
So the one great thing about this plan is it's a living document. So once it is adopted, it can be updated in real time. So we can continue to engage the school district and see if there's any additional items that they want to include once the plan is adopted. So I am meeting with the school district on a regular basis. So I can continue to work with them and see if there's any action items they want to include.
Thank you.
And I'll follow up on that, just if I may briefly, because we do have a city liaison meeting with the school district. And I think our representatives on the city council, in my request, will certainly emphasize their participation, because oftentimes when there's a disaster, we look at our school sites as an opportunity for folks to gather and be safe. So we really need them to be an active partner, and I'll ask my colleagues on that liaison committee to really emphasize the importance of that and almost get them to give us assurance that they'll begin to participate in one form or another. Other questions or comments on this item? Councilmember Collazo.
I have a question. The dam in Livermore, who's in charge of making sure that safety is not an issue?
Yeah, so there's a state run organization, and they are the ones who will be responsible for doing that. But we are connected with them. We do have our contact information for PD, for the city, as well as ACFD. So if there were to be an issue with one of the dams, we have a call tree where we would be notified.
Because it said dams, not very likely.
Unlikely. Yeah.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
But if it were to break, are we in danger?
So I'm gonna open that up to Chris. Chris, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. So that's a great question. So, if there was a dam failure event, obviously you don't own the dam there, right? And so you just have a response capability in this situation. I'm popping into look. We mapped lots and lots of dams in Alameda County. I was in the flood section because I was prepared for some questions on the flood portions. Let me scroll into the dam failure section of this, because I'll tell you, let's see. All right. You are in, so the inundation areas that you're in, and reminder to you is that not every dam in the state of California has an inundation layer that's available to us in GIS. It all has to do with the size of the dam. That's Cal OES has the Division of Safety of Dams, and they're the database holder for all these dam inundation maps and layers. And we don't have everything that they have, but we have all what's called their jurisdictional sized dams. And that's any dam that basically is larger than 25 acre feet. So all the smaller dams really don't fall in this category. But for you guys, you are at risk from the New Calaveras Dam and from the James Turner Dam. And those areas actually would cover a large portion of the city should they ever fail. Again, as Richard commented earlier, this would be one of those issues where it would be a low probability event, but a high impact event. And we look at things like that when we look at, earthquake is a lower probability, not in your area. I understand it's a higher probability for you. A volcano would be a low probability event, but would have a high risk should it occur. And so we looked at those things accordingly. But that really falls under, Richard brought up that you have a public education component for your mitigation action plan. And so there really is a lot of preparedness that happens. So some of your CERT teams and things like that would be involved in the preparedness of those things. There is an emergency action plan for all of these dams, and there is existing call trees in those things, so that should there be an issue, that people would be able to be notified as quickly as possible. Does that answer your question?
Do I need to buy a rubber boat?
It's never a bad idea to have a, let's be honest, but your chances of it are really, really quite small. Great question.
Just maybe a fast car.
Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Richard, thank you very much for this. I'm sorry, Councilmember Jorgens.
So I just want to say I was impressed with the public education awareness campaign that we've started, and we'll continue. The plan, as good as it is on paper, if we don't do that part of it, it's not going to matter. So I do want to say that I was impressed with how robust we've kind of thought through how we're getting this out into the community. Just one brief question on the Central Avenue overpass. We've got that listed as one of our action items. Mm-hmm. What's our timeline on that? When are we expecting to start seeing construction, start seeing that completed and able to help us, mitigate some emergencies?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Howard, do you want to?
Now, you've been here, 5 weeks now, Mr. Young? How?
Yeah,
Not yet 2 months, but 7 weeks. So, thank you, Mayor and council members. So concerning the Central Avenue Overpass project, for the purpose of just this topic, currently, right now, that's the utility relocation and the undergrounding is scheduled for summer 2025, pending, of course, PG&E schedules and some contract items. Once the utilities have been relocated underground, the city may start water and sewer relocation and overpass improvements. The schedule for the actual overpass itself is spring 2026, and then with anticipated completion 30 months after that, with a completion forecast of the end of 2028 currently. And once again, this schedule is really for the purposes of this topic only.
Okay,
thank you.
Have we considered emergency vehicles during the construction period where we may see much more significant impacts on traffic on some of the surrounding streets, other access roads? Have we, looked at the impact on emergency vehicles just during the construction period there?
For the construction period, as I understand, we'll look at easements for travel and then also a basic traffic control plan around the construction area.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Again, I want to comment on Councilmember Apodaca's comment. This is just an excellent example of partnership between nearby municipalities and other governmental agencies. Disasters don't know boundaries. And any significant disaster event in Fremont, Union City, it's going to impact Newark. And so it's a pleasure to see the cities and other governmental agencies working together to make sure that we collectively have a solution should any one of these disasters occur. In addition, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Martinez, we do disaster preparedness should there be an emergency. Don't we do simulated exercises between the various cities just to get together periodically, talk about this is what we will do should this event occur? Do we not currently do that?
So we have not done it in a little while, but we are talking about doing that.
Good.
And I know that regionally they have Golden Eagle, which is a region-wide exercise to allow all communities or jurisdictions who are interested in participating to participate.
Yeah. You just don't know how you're going to react as a city and a community until it actually happens. And the more we prepare, the better we're going to minimize loss of life and damage to property. So thank you for that report. I'll be looking for a motion.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Public comment.
I'm sorry, did I forget that? Yes, Councilmember Apodaca.
So I know that this is looking at the hazards and stuff, but part of that disaster preparedness, are we looking at what happens should the freeways collapse and we can't get to our residents can't get to hospitals? Because all the hospitals are in Fremont. Mm-hmm. You need to get over overpasses. Having worked for a hospital and done disaster preparedness from a hospital standpoint, there's going to be a lot of people trying to get into medical centers quickly. And there's a lot that our hospitals do on a basis. But I want to make sure that coordination is set, but also should those overpasses to get to Fremont for some reason collapse, we can't get to Fremont, what's being done here in Newark?
Sure. So that would not be part of this this plan, but that is something that we are looking to update our emergency operation plan or our SEMP, our comprehensive emergency plan. So in that plan, we would consider that as part of our evacuation annex, how we would get people to hospitals. So yeah.
Thank you for that. And just to follow up on that, because it is an important issue, because we saw what happened in the '89 earthquake. So maybe, Richard, when you come back and give kind of a further update, whether on this issue or other disaster preparedness, maybe you can bring some additional information as to what is the likely resolution to folks accessing hospital services should there be a disaster.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll leave that open.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, can I get a motion to approve the 2024 Tri-City Local Hazards Mitigation Plan?
So moved.
By Councilmember Apodaca.
Second.
By Councilmember Jorgens. Please vote. And that passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution on the City Council of the City of Newark adopting the 2024 Tri-City Local Hazard Mitigation Plan update.
Thank you, colleagues. The next item on the agenda is a presentation of the draft facilities master plan, and Mr. Benoon.
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. If the council may recall, at a city council meeting held in February of this year, the council received a presentation from Group 4 Architects summarizing key findings of the facilities master plan that was identified through the community engagement process and the facility condition assessment. For the past 6 months, staff has been working with the consultant preparing a draft plan. The draft plan was attached to the staff report for this item, and tonight the council will receive a presentation summarizing the contents of the draft report. Staff, the consultant, will then take the council's feedback from tonight's meeting and incorporate it into a final plan for council review, potentially as early as next month. We begin tonight's presentation with Senior Management Analyst Roya Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Honor and members of the City Council. I'm pleased to be here this evening to present the draft of the city's first facilities master plan. In November of 2022, recognizing the need for a comprehensive approach to addressing facility needs, the City Council approved an agreement with Group 4 Architecture to develop the city's first facilities master plan. The draft plan is the result of an extensive process that will provide the City Council and city staff a roadmap for managing and enhancing the city facilities over the next 20 years. Tonight, the consultant will provide an overview of the process that went into developing this plan, an overview of the immediate and short-term needs, and a look at the 20-year implementation plan. The implementation plan is structured around 4 categories. The first is preventative maintenance. The information collected during the development of the plan will enable staff to develop a comprehensive long-term preventative maintenance plan and effectively budget for these expenses. 2 is renovations and capital projects. There are no projects that have been identified for the immediate and short term, and all future projects will be submitted to the City Council for review as part of the capital improvement program process. 3 is the new and replacement facilities. The plan will recommend the replacement of fire stations 27 and 29 and a new cultural arts community center. Group 4 will provide additional details on these new buildings. The 4th category is to sell, repurpose, or demolish. The city currently has 3 vacant buildings: Watkins Hall, the old fire station, and the old library. The plan recommends further analysis to determine the best use of each building. If adopted, the successful implementation of this plan will require thorough consideration of financial, logistical, and community needs. Following the consultant's presentation this evening, we welcome City Council feedback to be incorporated into the final plan. And with that, I'd like to introduce Andrea Gifford, architect and principal at Group 4 Architects. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Hannon and fellow council members. Pleased to be back here to provide this update for you. Let's see, there we go. So our agenda this evening is to review a high-level overview of the goals and the schedule for the project, share with you the facilities conditions assessment, as Roya mentioned, review the space needs predominantly around the community buildings, a new cultural and community arts facility, as well as Fire Station 27 and 29, and then do an overview of the implementation plan, which will set the stage for the city for the next 20 years. On the screen up here is the 5 goals for the project set out in the beginning. One is to assess all of your facilities and determine their needs and current conditions. This would allow your capital improvement projects to budget annually for improvements that maintenance needs. Goal number 2 is determine the growth as well as future needs for these facilities. No facilities master plan is complete without thinking about how these facilities will continue to serve your community for the next 20 years. Goal number 3 was to engage the community, the Newark community, about their current community and program space needs, to do an inventory of what the community really values when it comes to community programs and spaces, and then develop recommendations and options with supporting cost estimates and create an action plan to guide the city to improve and make great decisions moving forward about your program, services, workflow, and facilities. the schedule here. We began this process about almost 2 years ago. We had 4 identified tasks: the existing conditions evaluation, the future space needs assessment, looking at different city alternative facility options, and then the final task of creating a cost estimate and implementation plan. Throughout that process, we met with a project management team, which included city staff. We toured your facilities and interviewed department heads about the operations that are being handled at the variety of facilities here in the city. We conducted 4 workshops within the community. We did 2 complete rounds of community engagement. We were happy to be at Newark Days last year in 2023. I'm sorry to say we're going to miss it this year, although I have some recommendations on how to place community feedback booths in that facility, maybe not right next to the lovely live music that they provide, but we were thankful to get a lot of engagement at that event and a number of other community events, as well as an online survey. And then you can see present those draft findings with you earlier this year, and we're here now to share a draft of the report. So we're going to start with the facilities condition assessment. Up on the screen is a map of the 18 different locations that the city currently operates facilities out of. These different locations were part of this facilities master plan. I will note we were looking at interior spaces. We heard earlier about a wonderful need for exterior recreation needs. This was facilities master plan really focused on interior building needs and spaces. Part of the facilities condition assessment was 4 pieces. We first did a pre-survey where we built a good amount of knowledge on your existing data and working with your facility staff to have a good understanding of your current conditions. We then conducted a pilot site assessment to make sure that the assessment was to meet the expectations of city staff, and then went through a full assessment, both building and site, for all locations where we identified deficiencies, inventoried your assets, recommended repair and replacement for a variety of systems, and then came up with a cost estimating and maintenance plan for each of your facilities. We then delivered a facility assessment report, which involved a portfolio of prioritization and identified a facility condition index for each of your facilities. Through that process, as I said, we identified a number of maintenance costs over the next 20 years for all of your facilities. You can see that totaled here in the first row of just about $100 million for all your facilities over the next 20 years. This type of information is valuable for you to start preventative maintenance programming and cost planning for all of those needs. We also identified $500,000 of immediate improvements for safety plan items. We then did some analysis and wanted to just share with the city if we were to pull out the 3 vacant facilities of Watkins Hall, the old fire station, and the old library, and the 3 facilities that we're recommending for replacement or new, which would be your community center annex restroom, fire station 27 and 29, your maintenance cost would decrease over 25%, and that would be reduced down to $72 million over the next 20 years, and your immediate safety plan cost would be reduced to just $50,000. Based on those facility condition index, as Roya mentioned, we categorized the facilities into 4 main groups. The first one being the preventative maintenance or maintain category. You can see the majority of your facilities fall into this category. They just need to keep ongoing maintenance to keep these facilities operating and maintaining good operations for your community. We have a number of facilities in the renovation. As Roya mentioned, none of these are in your immediate or short-term needs, but things to be thinking about and planning for as part of your CIP process. The 3 facilities of replacement include the Newark Community Center, its annex and accompanying restroom, as well as Fire Station 27 and 29. And then they identified 3 locations and facilities that should be considered for sell, repurpose, or demo. We're now going to move into the space needs. While we were doing the facility conditions assessment, we were identifying the needs of each of your facilities. We're going to focus the presentation tonight on just those 3 facilities that needed immediate space needs. The part of the report goes into all of the needs throughout the community, but for sake of time, we're going to focus on these 3. Your community recreation aquatic facilities, there's 3 facilities that currently provide services. The one that we're going to speak to today is the Newark Community Center Annex and Restroom, identified on location number 6. And as part of the round 1 community engagement, we reached out to the community and talked to them and wanted to hear from them what are their predominant needs when it comes to community services. And you can see illustrated in the thing, the high list of those is your aquatic needs. You have a wonderful facility at the Silman Center, and part of this master plan identified some improvements to that facility over the next 5 to 10 years. But overall, we feel like you have a great plan there and to meet those and continue to meet those aquatic needs. Second to that were arts needs. Currently, there's no facility that's supporting arts programming. It is currently run out of the Silman Center through their recreation, but no dedicated art and community spaces. So you'll see that as part of a primary need, part of the building program that we're recommending, as well as additional community spaces such as early childhood recreation, senior and teen, as well as a large community hall. And then of course, recreation, fitness, dance, multi-courts, gyms, and exercise rounding that out, which is predominantly being served out of your Silman Center. Based on those needs, we created a series of program options. Base option A identifies a community art gallery to showcase the wonderful art community that you have here. Replacement of the 2 existing early childhood or preschool classrooms currently being run out of the community center annex. A dedicated art and maker classroom, as well as a large community room that could be not only divisible to support general programs and meeting space, but also serve as a performance and community event space. So a large room that could be used in a variety of different ways and really support the demand that was identified as part of the needs assessment. There's opportunities to enhance that program by increasing the square footage and providing additional resources out of this facility, rolling in a senior lounge, consultation rooms, additional meeting rooms and conference spaces, and then all the way up to option C, proposing a large 32,000 square foot facility, which would have dedicated dance studios, music rooms, as well as art and ceramic studios. As part of our second round of engagement, we shared the program options with the community, and we also talked about where this type of facility might best be located within the community, whether that be here at the location potentially of the old library in Newark Civic Center Park, or maintain its location in Newark Community Park, essentially replacing the old community center annex and restroom. And you can see here, based off over 500 respondents participating, that there was a lot of consensus to continue to provide those community and potential cultural arts services out of the community park. We wanted to just make sure, and we provided these additional options and diagrams to show that this type of facility wouldn't impact the open space in that park. We feel confident that we can accommodate option A, B, or C within the existing sort of footprint or paved area of the current community center annex and restroom, and that could involve moving from a 1-story to a 2-story facility. And these are the different diagrams to show just a test fit at this level. We're now going to switch into your public safety, admin, and service facilities, and again, focus primarily on your 3 fire stations, Fire Station 27 and 29. As part of this needs assessment, and identified a number of issues with Fire Station 27 and 29, ranging from compliance with just your Essential Service Act of having the appropriate amount of strengthening from a seismic standpoint, as well as emergency backup power, compliance with current ADA accessibilities regarding egress and ventilation, some life safety issues, as well as bringing these facilities up to current best practices for fire operations and security. I want to note we brought on a special architect, 10 Over. They really specialize in public safety facilities, predominantly fire stations and police stations, and we really leaned on their expertise to provide a good analysis of these types of facilities for us. 10 Over also provided some, again, test fit sort of diagrams to see if a new facility could be accommodated on their current sites or whether a larger site would need to be allocated. And it was determined that the current sites of Fire Station 27 and 29 are adequate to meet the needs of a new fire station within the existing site footprint. And those are illustrated on the slide here. Once all the assessment and needs were identified, we then came up with an implementation plan and associated costs for each of the identified needs for the different categories, ranging from aquatics and improvements to your Silliman Center, your community, the recommendation of a new 18 to 32,000 square foot community and arts center at Community Park, improvements to Silliman Center from a recreation standpoint, minor improvements to City Hall and your police, improvements to Service Center, as well as the recommendation for new Fire Station 27 and 29, and some future upgrades to current Fire Station 28. And then along the bottom identifies those immediate costs associated with safety issues and maintenance. And so with that, I'd like to conclude the presentation and open it up for any questions.
Great. Before I ask the public for their comments, are there any clarifying questions that folks have? Any clarifying questions? Okay, then I'll open up to the public for any comments that you may have regarding the presentation. Great, I'll return back to my colleagues for their comments. Councilmember Collazo.
So if we are going to redo the fire stations, when they're demolished, where do our firefighters and our equipment go while that's being rebuilt?
Yeah, so these I just identify projects. Once this plan is adopted, it then would be that each of these potential projects would then sort of start the next phase, which would talk about how you would address phasing and working with the county fire who provides your services to make sure that you're maintaining coverage. And so all of that would be identified as part of the next step. So this facility master plan, as Rory said, is really just laying the foundation and identifying those potential projects and then being able to build out a CIP project process, which then would go in and dive deeper into each of these individual recommendations.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Apodaca.
Yeah, my question goes to, I know that I'm maybe jumping ahead regarding the vacant buildings, but looking at the library, not knowing what shape it is in, I know you kind of put the senior activities at the community center, but is there any consideration moving the senior center here to the library so it's around the police, and to the former library so it's around the current library, City Hall, and the police?
We've thought about that. There is a nice synergy when you combine senior and adult and recreation services. You can provide some dual use and flexible use of space because senior programs have certain hours that they really like to do their programming and others have different events and hours. And so we see a real push in community centers to start doing co-located or sort of multi-generational community services so that services are being provided out of a single facility, one from an ease of maintenance, but also from an ease of operations. So you have all of your community rec staff only operating out of one facility as opposed to sort of providing those out of two facilities. And there's still ways to provide separation and dedicated spaces within that footprint while also kind of seeing some efficiencies of dual use and shared spaces. From a staffing and operations.
So you would see that if we didn't have the senior all at one spot at the community center, that they would have their designated? Because I know that when we had to close down the senior center, our seniors definitely let us know they weren't happy sharing teen space.
Yeah.
So
yes, as part of that, you can see a dedicated senior lounge and meeting rooms that then as part of the programs and operations, it would be up to community and recreation staff to sort of prioritize certain programs for certain individuals. And so that's just part of ongoing staff operations. But again, part of this was that we sort of saw that as a benefit to co-locate them. But again, this would be part of a further analysis if the project was to move forward for the Community and Cultural Arts Center to revisit some of these assumptions made at this facilities master plan. So there is opportunity to continue to evolve this facility master plan once you dive deep into each of these different future CIP projects.
Okay, one more comment, since I'm not going to be here past December. So once all this happens and the seniors move to wherever they're going to be, that's a beautiful kitchen at the senior center. So I think a plug is making sure that maybe using that kitchen site for all the micro businesses that need a kitchen, that they can rent it out and enhance those activities as well as support small individual businesses.
Thank you, Councilmember. And let me just reemphasize the fact that you may not be here when we begin really diving deep into these facilities. Your comments are duly noted, and we'll certainly make sure that staff is reflecting those as these items come back to us.
Anna, public comments.
Other comments?
Yeah, just briefly, I want to thank you for all your work on this. It's, it's, as we can see from the results of the public outreach, there was, first a lot of public outreach, which I know is tough. And, was so well done is really giving us, good direction, how you need to move forward. So I do appreciate that. And I think it also represents the importance of these public places to our community and, making sure that we're finding ways to, protect our, public spaces that community members and nonprofits use, and, that we're finding, ways to be flexible with that. I think is going to be important moving forward is, we want to make sure that we have as much public space available as we can for, every community use that we can imagine that we can't imagine that's going to come up in the future. So thank you.
If you could do me a favor and go back to slide 13, please, if that's possible. And of course, I love the bigger the space, the better. It gives us greater use for the community. But what I really want to hone in on is the picture down there towards the bottom under base A, which kind of shows the theater. And I made a commitment to our former planning commissioner, Debbie Ofstadter, and others in stage one that we, the city, would look at kind of a theater type use. And this certainly seems to demonstrate that. And I've been at the high school, and the high school's done a great job in allowing us to use that venue for plays and musicals and dance reviews and things of that nature. But we really need something that moves up into the current state of the arts, and this does demonstrate that. So I'm really pleased to see that. Mr. Benoon, the only question I have is regarding the fire stations, which is certainly a priority. I was surprised to hear, as maybe you were, that one of the fire stations actually has a roof leak. It's like, shucks. We really shouldn't have people living in facilities where the roof leaks, but maybe talk briefly about kind of the funding opportunities for some of these capital projects.
After the council approves the plan, staff will be evaluating possible financial resources to implement this plan. I thank the consultant for spending a lot of time with our community. Hitting 600 of our community members is awesome. And it's great to talk about these things, but we want to make sure that we follow through with this with appropriate funding sources. There's various funding sources available to us outlined in the capital improvement plan. There's also a potential fund source in Measure GG. There's an excess of revenue coming in from the sales tax that is significantly above the scheduled debt repayment obligations. Another possible source would be Measure LL. Should that measure pass, there's a whole host of needs for this community as identified in the various master plans. And implementing this plan using those funds is certainly a possibility at some point in the future, assuming it were to pass.
Those are my comments. I'm excited. These are going to bring some really fabulous facilities to our city, and if the workmanship is similar to what we see with the library, city hall, and the police station, this community is really moving in the right direction when it comes to civic projects. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for what you do. And Ms. Gonzalez, thank you for your efforts as well. This
you.
is simply a presentation, so there's no action required by the council on this item. So if there's no further comments, we'll move on to the next item, which was to approve a resolution approving an alternate means of compliance for the Pashke Homes project. And I understand, Councilmember Coyal, you may need to recuse yourself.
You know, I like that fact that I'm back, but this recusing. So I need to recuse myself as I have real property and business interests in the Mexico Tortilla Factory at 7015 Thornton Avenue and rental property at 7155, 7167, and 7179 Thornton Avenue. So I will be right back.
Excellent. Thank you.
As soon as I get up, we'll get warmed up.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Is everybody jealous or what?
Mr. Benoon?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, and members of the council. Item F3 is a recommendation from city staff for the council to approve an affordable housing regulatory agreement between the city and Leposhki Homes, the developer of an 88-unit project that contains 1,620 square feet of commercial space. This project is located on Thornton Avenue adjacent to Olive Street in Mulberry. This really is an exciting project, as this is the first project that is being implemented under the Old Town Newark specific plan area. Also, this is the first time we'll have an owner-occupied affordable low-income units in our city. Before I begin, I apologize for stealing your thunder, Mr. Interiano.
Mine too, by the way.
But earlier this evening, city staff went to San Francisco and received an award for the Old Town Newark specific plan area from the American Planning Association California chapter. Unfortunately, our director couldn't attend, as he's here tonight for the council meeting, as well as our deputy director. But we did send our senior planner, so this is quite an incredible achievement, and I thank Mr. Interiano for all of his work shepherding this plan several years ago. So thank you, and congratulations. To provide some brief background and context, the Old Town specific plan was approved in 2021. And as a part of that approval, the council modified zoning and land use designations to incentivize development in that area. Last month, the Planning Commission met to review the project and unanimously approved the requested entitlements, which included design review, a density bonus, and a vesting tentative map. Because the project is consistent with the zoning and land use designations and does not require environmental review, the entitlements can be issued by the Planning Commission. However, the council would need to review and approve the proposed affordable housing regulatory agreement, which is being up for discussion this evening. The project we're discussing tonight provides for 13 units for low-income households in lieu of the developer paying the affordable housing fee. The proposed agreement establishes housing standards and management requirements, requires that the units be deed restricted for affordable use for 45 years, and requires a Newark preference for purchasers. Tonight, Deputy Community Development Director Interiano will provide the staff report. His presentation will provide an overview of the project and summarize the affordable housing program. With all that in mind, we'll now turn it over to Mr. Interiano. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor.
Yes.
And Council. Excuse me. There we go. As the City Manager stated, on August 13th, the Planning Commission approved the design review, vesting tentative map, and density bonus for this project. And actually tonight, as mentioned, was the alternate means of compliance, allowing the affordable housing units to be provided on site in lieu of paying the housing impact fee. In terms of the project, it's 88 units in 2 buildings, 13 affordable housing units for low-income household, 15,000 square feet of private open space, 125 parking spaces, 1,620 square feet of retail space, and that's on the smaller building there. In terms of project location, it's on Thornton Avenue. It's in the Old Town area, and it's located between Mulberry and Olive Street mostly. There are currently 7 lots with 3 existing homes, which will be combined into 2 lots excuse me, for the proposed project. In terms of the general plan and zone, sorry, this went forward too many times. In terms of general plan and zoning, the project has a general plan land use and zoning designation of commercial mixed use and is in compliance with the overall standards and requirements of the zoning district. There we go. As discussed, the Planning Commission reviewed the project for compliance with design standards. Aside from aesthetics, the project met key factors such as considering lower scale neighborhood adjacent to it. In addition, staff worked closely with one of our architectural design consultants to help improve the design of the building by simplify and unify facades, by unifying the corners of the overall design, and adding variety to the top floor heights, enhance pedestrian experience in addition to other improvements. In terms of the buildings, Building A here is a large building. The building has a contemporary Spanish architectural design with balconies, varied roof lines, breaks in massing, and a clock tower feature near the Olive Street cul-de-sac area. Building A is located on Lot 1, which is approximately 1 acre. The building is 5 stories and includes a total of 60 multifamily units, including 2 affordable units. The ground floor includes 2 5-story units. The ground floor would also house an enclosed parking garage, excuse me, providing for 59 parking stalls. The second level parking garage would also provide storage units, a bicycle room, trash closures, second floor and rear deck lobbies, and mechanical equipment room. In terms of amenities, these would be located on the second floor. That would include an outdoor rooftop garden with tables, patio-style seating, and a pickleball court. These are side view elevations from like Olive and Mulberry Street. In terms of Building B, the elevations here are from the front and rear of the building. And Building B will contain 28 condo units. Excuse me. And as I mentioned, there's 1,620 square feet on the retail on the ground floor. The reason for the retail being just on this part of the building is that this building is actually located what is designated as the commercial core area of the specific plan. And that's why it required that retail space. This building will also have a unit mix of 12 one-bedroom, 12 two-bedroom, 4 three-bedroom, and 11 bedroom affordable units. Sorry, 11 of those would be 11 one-bedroom affordable units. These are the Olive Street view of the Building B. And this would be, and then you have the other side, which is, there's a home adjacent to this side here. In terms of Building B, this is the floor area. The bottom floor would be where the garage is located, the retail space, and you also have kind of a typical layout of floors 2 through 5. In terms of the affordable program, in Newark, development projects which are required to pay a housing impact fee can either pay the fee or provide affordable housing units through an alternate means of compliance. For the Lepeshki Homes project, the developer is willing to provide 13 affordable for-sale housing units targeting low-income households. These would be the first affordable for-sale units in Newark. However, in order to accomplish this, City Council approval is required for the Affordable Housing Regulatory Agreement. The agreement establishes the following: establishing the total unit count and income levels. It ensures that the 13 units be deed restricted for 45 years. It requires there to be a Newark local preference for those who live and work in Newark. It also ensures that the buyer acknowledges the rules of these types of units. If sold per state law, it requires that an equity portion of the sold unit goes to the city. Any funds would need to be deposited into the housing fund for future housing programs. So the one question that I got several times at different meetings was, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, it depends on when it's constructed. But, oops, that's not the right one. Sorry about that. Yeah, as I said, affordable units are 13 units that are low income, 80% AMI. Building A has 2 units that are 2 bedrooms. Building B is 11 with 1 bedroom, and they're below market rate units. And this is the slide that I was trying to get to here. So the question I get is, how much are these going to cost? So we did a typical, we did a kind of an estimate of what these units would cost today. So based on Alameda County and the income ranges, the average median income ranges, for a 1-bedroom unit, it would be $294,000, assuming a 2-person household. For 2-bedroom units, this represents approximately $334,000, assuming a 3-person household. Again, these are just estimates based on today's average median incomes, and these would change depending on when the buildings are built. With that, staff recommends that the adoption of the resolution approving alternate means of compliance allowing affordable housing units to be provided on site in lieu of paying a housing impact fee for the Lepeshki Homes project.
are there any clarifying questions before I open up to the public? Yes, Councilmember Apodaca.
So in the staff report, it says that for the purpose of development, there's 17% or 15 units of the units need to be provided for affordable housing, but we're requesting 13 units. Why the decrease of 2?
Sure. So as a guide, the city doesn't actually have a requirement for inclusionary housing yet. So what we use is a resolution that was used to determine how much a development project in the city would need to mitigate for the housing impact. So there's a table as part of that nexus study that was done. And so that there's kind of these suggested percentages. So for this project, or for a project that are condos, it would recommend it 17%, which would have equaled about 15 units. But as offered, there were 15 units that were studios. So in discussion with the developer, we came to an agreement that they would provide 13 units, but 11 of them would be one-bedroom units, and 2 of them would be two-bedroom units. So you're getting these larger units in the area.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any questions from the public on this item? I'll close public testimony and return it back to my colleagues for any questions. I love the project. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I love the project. And this is the first time, Mr. Benu, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think you may have said it, first time we have ever approved a development which includes affordable ownership of homes. And we really should be proud of that. We've made it a priority on this council to focus on affordability. And we've seen a lot of rental units that have become affordable, senior projects have become affordable, but these are the first where people can buy them and live there and have that be their home that they own. And the range of pricing for these between $250 and $350, you're not going to find that anywhere, certainly in the state of California. So staff, you're to be really commended for negotiating this. Can you just talk briefly about the Newark local preference and how do you see that how that might work? Is it a situation where residents of Newark or folks working in Newark may be given bonus points, for example, as they submit an application that maybe elevates their application higher than it might normally be?
That's the way we believe it work. We actually have one of our housing consultants who has a lot of experience doing this kind of projects. So is Paul Penninger on there, online?
No.
No, he's not on there? Okay, but essentially, yes, that's the way it would work. It was that would get points if you live or work here, you get points so that your application is reviewed or accepted prior to anybody who doesn't live or work here. So it's just an extra point system.
Okay, excellent. And I've seen that point situation before when it comes to veterans and things of that nature. So this works great. If there's no other questions, colleagues? Yes, ma'am.
So on that, to follow up to that question, so how will this be publicized so Newark residents know to apply?
So as the project, once it starts to get developed, we'll develop a program on how to advertise it. One of the things that city recently did was, we're in the process of hiring a housing policy and program manager. And so part of one of their jobs will be, one, to review some of these applications when they do get developed and they come in, but also to understand how to communicate to our residents to kind of make sure everybody's aware of it. I'm sure we'll have a section of our warehouse of our website that shows this information. So there'll be a variety of different ways that we'll try to make that known to the community.
Great. And then, yes, Vice Mayor Freitas.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Artiano. Just a couple of questions. So you mentioned building B will have the front storages, right? So for business.
Yes.
But building A will not.
No, building A is not excuse me, is outside of what the specific plan showed to be the commercial core area. So there was no requirement to have retail on the ground floor. However, when we were working with the developer to design the building, what you'll see is that the lower facade of that building has the same typical heights that the retail store will and other stores in the area according to the specific plan. So it'll almost look like it almost looks like it's like apartments, but also like studios.
So the access will be from, the traffic will be from Thornton, or will be from Magnolia Court, Olive Court to the Building B for the business will be, the majority of the traffic will come in from Thornton Avenue?
Yeah, so for
Can we go back to the
B-
diagram so we can see what we're looking at?
Oh, sure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a good idea. For Building B, can you just pull it up here? Better if I have a site plan. I guess this is probably the best
Yeah.
one that I can show you here. So for Building B, the entrance is on Olive Street.
Okay.
But the parking will only be for the residents on that building. So for retail customers, they would have to park on the Thornton Street. There's
Okay.
parking going to be on Thornton Street.
So we pretty
Yeah.
much to separate the entrances for more for the
So-
public and for the residents.
Yeah, it'll be similar to the other businesses that are at Old Town right now. You know, everybody who typically comes there parks on Thornton and then goes into the businesses. At some point in the future, if, you know, we hope that these businesses could become very successful. At some point, we may even have to look for like a parking lot somewhere in the Old Town for overflow for retail spaces.
Now, the buildings are 5-story tall, so it's be elevators on the towers, right? Looks like at the end of each will be elevators accessible to the, I guess, 5 stories tall, right?
Yes, 5 stories.
So it'll be elevators or not elevators?
Oh, they will be elevators,
Oh,
yes,
elevators.
yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Just real quickly, because I know traffic came up, I know at the planning commission meeting, especially from some of the folks living, I think, in the Olive Street area. Refresh my memory, how many units are in the Olive Street or Building B? How many units?
In
21.
Building B, the smaller one.
21.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my count
21,
here.
I believe.
So in Building B, there's 28.
28.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Mr. Town, I'll go back to your last diagram again. I just wanted you, can you point out with using a pen or something like that where the retail space is going to be? I'm assuming that's along the Thornton Avenue area, the retail?
Can I use this as a pointer? Yeah, it's, let me see if I can.
No, it won't work. It won't. As I'm looking at the Thornton.
So, yeah, you know where it says Avenue?
Yes.
For Thornton Avenue, right in front of there, that corner section of the Building B, right next to what is going to be the urban, or the plaza, that's where it is.
Okay.
It's only 1,620 square feet. It's not a large space, but it's right in the corner of the building on the ground floor.
Great. And my last question then,
Sure.
access to the Building A on Thornton, they'll be accessing the garage from Thornton Avenue?
There will not be any access from Thornton Avenue.
Okay.
From Building B will be accessed through Olive Street.
No, but Building A?
And Building A, the entrance will be on Olive Street, but the exit will be off of Thornton.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent.
yeah. If I
Yes.
may mention one more thing, just wanted to mention that we did get a letter from the California Housing Defense Fund. I believe all the city council members are aware of it and got a copy of it, but essentially it seems they're in support of the approving the alternate means of compliance.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Jorgens.
Thank you. What's our current balance of, we're saying, we're waiving the fee because they're building these units. We haven't done that in the past. We've collected the fee. I don't know if you have this, but what's the total amount that we have in that account to, because that money does go to spend on some of our affordable housing goals, so.
Yeah,
It can be valuable as well, so I'm just wondering what that balance is.
There's several projects that the city has approved recently in the last couple of years, and the balance is approximately $33 million, not including those projects.
It's a pretty healthy balance where we're at is, when we start looking at, we need to get to a point where we're starting to build some of these units, and, I'm very happy to see I'm very happy to see that there's 2 bedrooms included as well. That's really important for families as they're trying to find something affordable. My understanding is there's going to be an HOA involved with this.
Yes, there will be.
So explain to me how the relationship between kind of the qualifications for the affordable units, the way we're determining affordability, and then with the HOA fees. Because my worry is, a lot of times HOAs are going to optimize towards goals that aren't necessarily affordability, and we could lose some of what we're trying to do. That affordability just gets eaten up in HOA fees. So just curious about how the relationship between those two.
And that is very important because as I spoke to one of our housing consultants, the HOA is included in that factor. So they would have to include whatever that fee amount is for the HOA, in addition with all the mortgage and all the other fees that are required, and they'd have to stay within those average median income levels. So it is a factor, and it would have to be included in that. So the higher the cost of that HOA fee, the more unlikely that they will be able to afford it if it pushes them past the limit. This project does not have a ton of amenities, but there is a decent amount of amenities that are normal as part of this condo project, but nothing that would essentially stand out to me as something that would be really expensive or out of the norm.
It's reassuring. I do think that's something that we're going to have to watch as we look at other projects. I think, in my 2 years on the council, pretty much all of the projects that we've looked at have included an HOA. And just in terms of, that does cut into some of the affordability, but it also is going to make it tough for us to measure, how we're, progressing on some of that. If, we, are looking at a dozen or so different HOAs with different fees and trying to figure out, where we're at in terms of affordability, how much progress we're making. I think that's going to be a real challenge for us. So I would hope to see, some projects, maybe that don't include an HOA, and, as we move forward. And, one of the other problems with the HOAs, that we can sometimes see is, there's big walls around each, individual development. And I'm really glad that we're not seeing that here, that we're still keeping Olive Street open, that is enhancing that, kind of neighborliness and, connectivity between, what's there now, what will be there in the future. And, when I'm looking at projects moving forward, that's going to be something that I'll look at as well. So, I do like this project. I do think the alternative means of compliance makes sense, but just so, you can kind of get where, I'm at where, when considering future projects, because I'm hoping that, this is the first of many projects, in this Old Town corridor.
Okay. And I thought that was a great question, and I want to make sure I followed it as it relates to the HOA fees. So did I hear you say, Mr. Interiano, that the income qualification that allowed them to purchase this home in terms of their income, would there be a nexus between their income and what percentage of an HOA fee they would pay, or they would be required to pay the entire HOA fee as any other owner in the building?
They would pay it like any other person.
So I don't know if that's a legal question, Mr. City Attorney, whether or not we, the city, moving forward, as we look at income qualification, if we can require the developer that the corresponding HOA fee that income qualifying owner is going to pay is somehow tied to their income in terms of a percentage or a ratio thereof. I'm not sure if you've experienced that anywhere else or have thought about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that the city would have much authority there, just because the HOAs they're like CC&Rs by their nature. It's their private property arrangements between a private property and an association. So unfortunately, I don't know that there's much we could do on our end.
Mm-hmm. But I do share Councilmember Jorgen's concern in that regard, in that we make it affordable, but then with the HO fee, and there, as you mentioned, there may be few amenities that they would have to contribute to, but I would not want these then to become unaffordable because of that.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, let's keep an eye on it. Any other questions, comments? Councilmember Apodaca.
Having been in an HOA for 21 years now, I could tell you that it has doubled in my 20 years from when I first started owning my condo to what it is now. So I think it is something to look at in the future, especially for these affordable housing projects. So thank you, Councilmember, for bringing it up.
Okay, this is an action item. If there's no other comments, can I get a motion to go ahead and approve?
I'll make the motion.
Councilmember Jorgens made the motion. Vice Mayor Freitas seconded. Please vote. And that passes unanimously with 4 ayes, and Councilmember Susie Coyalza recusing herself.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Newark approving an alternative means of compliance to payment of housing impact fees for Lepashki Homes project consisting of 88 residential units and 1,620 square feet of commercial.
I tried to get you one of the units. I did.
You got me two instead?
The next item is status of the Newark Climate Action Plan update. Mr. Benoon?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, and members of the council. Item F4 is an informational item for staff, the consultant, to provide an update on the status of the Newark Climate Action Plan. To briefly summarize, back in 2007, the City Council adopted our first Climate Action Plan that established various goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions within the city by 15%. Due to increasing awareness of the threat of climate change, the state adopted more aggressive greenhouse gas emission reduction targets. The city therefore needs to update our plan and establish new goals to address the increased threat that climate change poses. During tonight's presentation, staff will provide background information on the city's existing plan and its targets, along with the proposed new plan and its new targets. There will be a community engagement component, which will begin on September 25th, with a community meeting hosted in the library at 6 p.m. With that in mind, I would like to turn it over to our Environmental Services Manager, Mr. James Scanlon, for the presentation this evening. Mr. Scanlon?
Thank you. It's almost 10 o'clock, so I'll try to get you out here by 11. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. James Scanlon, Environmental Services Division Manager, and I'm going to give you an update on the update to our Climate Action Plan. So as the city manager mentioned, the city has a long history of being proactive in addressing the threat of climate change. In 2007, Mayor David Smith signed the U.S. Mayor's Climate Protection Agreement, thereby committing the city to taking action for climate protection. The city adopted a Climate Action Plan, or CAP, in January 2010. The CAP set a target to reduce greenhouse gas emissions from activities within the city to 1990 levels by 2020. That was approximately a 15% reduction. In December 23, the City Council approved contracting with Ascent Environmental to assist with a comprehensive update to the city's 2010 CAP. We refer to the update as Climate Action Newark, or CAN. The project manager from Ascent, Hannah Kornfeld, is online, I believe, to answer questions as well.
Yes.
Yes, good, great, thank you. CAN will both reduce greenhouse gas emissions and prepare for the impact of climate change. CAN will aim to align the city with the state's adopted greenhouse gas reduction targets. That is 40% below 1990 levels by 2030 and 85% below 1990 levels by 2045. CAN will engage the community, and CAN will include implementation directions so staff can ensure the strategies identified and prioritized here are implemented. So CAN includes guiding principles to focus the development of implementation actions. These guiding principles include being ambitious yet realistic and working collaboratively with the residents and the community. Implementing the strategies in CAN is also expected to result in many co-benefits, such as improved public health, neighborhood beautification, and improved air quality. This is an overview of the project schedule. We have conducted the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, and establish reduction targets. We are now at phase 3, developing climate action strategies. We will hold a public workshop on September 25th to get input on the community's priorities. We will hold a second public workshop and provide an update to council in early 2025. So I'll now discuss climate mitigation. We have conducted an emissions inventory for 2022 and projected future emissions based on anticipated population, land use, and employment changes. Based on these projections, we have calculated the reductions the city would need to meet the targets the state has adopted for 2030 and 2045. The next step is to identify strategies to meet these targets. Oh, sorry, I was supposed to be showing that one. So this table shows the estimated emissions reductions achieved since the adoption of the city's 2010 Climate Action Plan. MTCO2E stands for metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. The goal of the 2010 cap was to achieve a 15% decrease in the city and community emissions from 2005 levels by 2020. This comparison was made with 2022 emissions rather than 2020 due to anomalies in economics and behaviors associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. This comparison between the two inventories includes only the emissions sectors that allowed for a side-by-side comparison. The updated 2022 inventory provides additional emissions data for sectors that were not included in the 2010 cap due to lack of available data or methodologies. However, comparing the two inventories shows that the city was able to reduce emissions 16% below the 2005 levels by 2022. So we did make that target. This table shows Newark's estimated 2022 emissions and the legislated adjusted forecast for 2030 and 2040. The greenhouse gas emissions forecast analysis estimates how greenhouse gas emissions may evolve in the future, given changes in population, housing, and economic growth, and how state and federal legislation such as building energy efficiency standards, fuel efficiency standards, electric vehicle sales requirements, and renewable and zero carbon electricity requirements should reduce local emissions. These projected reductions are very significant. Without additional action taken by the city or Newark residents and businesses, we can expect an 18% reduction in overall emissions by 2030 and a 64% reduction by 2045. As you can see, the overwhelming majority of emissions are from on-road vehicles, followed by building energy. That's for both residential and business. This chart depicts the legislative adjusted business as usual forecast by sector, shown by the colored wedges, and the business as usual forecast shown in the red line. The business as usual forecast, that is the red line, represents future emissions without the implementation of adopted state and federal legislation, while accounting for the city's population, employment, and land use changes. It's not going forward. Let's see.
Maybe the battery's died. Can you just click?
Oh, that one? Okay.
You can just click here.
You want to click? Okay. That's it. Okay.
Oh, there's
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So where was I now? Okay. So, okay. Okay, so sorry about that. This chart depicts the legislative adjusted business as usual forecast by sector as distinguished by the colored wedges and the city's emissions reduction targets relative to the 2022 emissions inventory. The space between the trajectory of the purple line, i.e. the targets, and the top of the colored wedges, the forecasted emission, represents the gap in emissions that would need to be addressed through local actions for the city to align with the state's targets. In 2030, Newark would need to reduce emissions.
Well, that's going to help.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I think so. Where are we? By 29% beyond what is expected with the adopted federal and state regulations to align with the state's targets. This will require significant local action. The next phase of the project will focus on identifying and analyzing what these actions could be. Okay. Our next step is to host a workshop for the community. Won't touch that anymore. Our next step is to host a workshop for the community on September 25th. This meeting will be an opportunity to discuss climate action and our sea level rise vulnerability assessment with the community, and we hope you will attend. Next, we will develop a list of potential strategies and rough estimates of greenhouse gas reductions and costs associated with those strategies. We'll host a second workshop in early 2025 and present the draft strategies to council for your consideration. The roads look really good, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah,
Is this the
one
one?
more. Yes.
Right
There we go. One more.
One more.
There we go. Great. Thank you.
Colleagues, are there any clarifying questions? Any clarifying questions before I open it to the public? Folks, are there any questions that you may have regarding this item? Return back to my colleagues for any questions. James,
Just
go ahead,
quick
Councilman
comment. I think if
Torkins.
we can go back, I don't, technology permitting, I guess.
Yes.
If we can go back to
That's a great-
slide, I think is slide 8. Yeah, so if you look at slide 8 where we've got, transportation is really our, where we're in the plus. And then if you go into the next slide, we're looking at on-road transportation as our biggest, category here.
Right.
It's just for staff, it's gonna be really important for me when we look at our active transportation plan, I know that's in process, that we're really tying in what we're doing to, how we can get transportation into, looking like some of those other categories and how we're gonna be meeting our goals there, because it's, a huge part there and it's, where we're maybe not quite as strong. So, whenever that does come before us, I'm hoping to see that we're explicitly tying in what we're doing with this plan and, how it's impacting our climate action plan.
Two questions. What are the consequences to cities for failure to meet the state's mandates? Have those been identified?
If you align with the state's reduction targets and your climate action plan is CEQA certified, then you get streamlining of projects so that projects would not need to do their own climate action analysis. They could say we're in line with the cities. That's the major thing. It would also should help with getting grants and mostly getting grants as well. Okay. There's not a penalty for not meeting the target or aligning with the state's targets, other than those. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see that we made the 2020 target of 15% by actually doing 16%, and I'm certainly fully confident, city manager, in our efforts to get down to the goals as mandated by the state, and anything we as the council can do to emphasize that, we're certainly happy to participate. If there's no other questions, I think this was an informational item, yes. Yeah. So there's no formal action. September the 25th, if somebody could send a reminder to the council on that so that we have the opportunity to attend, because I'll certainly be interested in the comments. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
The next item is the introduction of an ordinance amending Chapter 2.09 of the Newark Municipal Code, City Council member compensation to increase the salaries of city council members and the mayor. City Manager?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor, members of the council. Tonight, our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Linka Havorka, will provide the staff report. Ms. Havorka?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. This item is an administrative action required to affect the decision that City Council made on May 23rd, 2024, to increase mayor and council member salaries by 6%. Consideration of mayor and council member salaries is an agendized discussion item brought to the City Council every 2 years during the biennial budget process per the city's municipal code. The code suggests reviewing staff salary increases and the consumer price index when considering an increase in salaries for the City Council. During staff's presentation at the May 23rd City Council meeting, the consumer price index was reported to be 7.7%, and staff salaries increased 6%. That's since the council's last salary increase in January 2023. Therefore, tonight's item includes a finding that the council has not received additional pay since January 2023, thus justifying an increase. To effect the 6% salary increases the council agreed upon back in May and that have already been incorporated into the 2024-2026 biennial budget and capital improvement plan, a draft ordinance has been prepared that would, starting January 1st, 2025, increase the monthly salary of council members from the current rate of $1,371 to $1,453, and increase the mayor's monthly salary from $2,999 to $3,179. This concludes staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Any clarifying questions before I open up to the public? Any questions or comments from the public on this item? Close public comment, return back to the council for questions, comments. Thank you for the report. There is a motion we need to approve. I'm sorry, let me, motion made by Vice Mayor Freitas.
Second.
By Councilmember Collazo, please vote. And that carries unanimously, thank you.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Newark amending Chapter 2.09, City Council Members' Compensation of the Newark Municipal Code to increase the salaries of City Council members and mayor by 6%.
Great, we're under City Manager reports. Mr. Benoon?
Yes, good evening, Your Honor. 3 quick updates. First, there's an emergency preparedness workshop tomorrow, Friday, September 13th, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's hosted in our police department training room. CERT will be there. There'll be presentations and resources on emergency preparedness. We're hosting this in partnership with Senator Wahhab's office. Secondly, we have a special needs silent splash swim at Silliman Center on Friday, September 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. This provides a space for children with special needs that offers engaging activities, sensory stations, arts and crafts, and swimming without all of the loud noise. $15 for Newark residents and $17 for non-residents, and no pre-registration needed. And third, I know we've talked about it extensively tonight, but an umpteenth reminder that we have a community meeting on climate action and sea level rise plan hosted on Wednesday, September 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Newark Library. So that concludes City Manager updates this evening.
Mr. Benoon, just really quickly, I really appreciate the special needs program. Is that the first that we've held?
Oops, I'm not sure if it's the first. It's not, we haven't hosted many of them. If it's not the first, it's the second. I don't know if Mr. Cuevas is here this evening.
If not, that's okay.
Yeah.
I just think it's outstanding that we recognize that there are members in our community that do have special needs, and we need to accommodate those special needs. So whether it's our first or second, congratulations, job well done. Council comments, I'll start to my left, Councilmember Apodaca.
I am just going to say it's nice to be back. And even though we have a very lengthy agenda, but it was really good to be back, especially to hear from the Newark Days and what's ahead for our birthday celebration. And then it was nice to have the young people, the youth athletes here tonight as well.
Councilmember Collazo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, it's nice to be back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very happy to be sitting here Today is a very special day. I wish I wasn't sitting here today. I wish it was yesterday's city council meeting. Today's my anniversary. So it's 43 years with my husband. And tomorrow is my son's birthday. So tomorrow we're having a big celebration. We're celebrating lots of things tomorrow, anniversaries, birthdays, and other things. But I'm really pleased to be able to say I'm here to celebrate. And then I have one presentation that I'd like to do today. And this is a presentation that was given to me for the city from Senator Wahab's office. And it was for the fantastic Mariachi Festival that was held in July. So it was our 10th anniversary for the Mariachi Festival. And so she had given me this, so I want to, it says to the city of Newark. So I want to present it to you, and we can frame it and hang it in one of the offices. Or in here. And I think that's it for today.
Excellent. And we want to remind our residents to
Shop Newark. Oh, Shop Newark. I said it had been so long.
I guess I have that job ahead of me.
You have that job ahead of you.
Councilmember Jorgens.
Yeah, I want to thank the members of the public, came and spoke at, during the public comment on non-agenda items. It's great to have a full room and hear from the public. It makes us smarter. It helps us make better decisions. And, I hope that we can encourage, more public comment by following up on, that item and making sure that, that we're doing everything we can there once, that their voices are heard there. And I have every confidence that that's going to happen. And just a reminder, Newark Days, Thursday, September 19th to the 22nd. Stuff going on all the time, so come out and celebrate Newark.
Vice Mayor Freitas.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just I'd like to thanking our rookie council member to coming from the private sector to serve for a very short term, but thank you for your services, Anna, because you were serving this body for 2 terms in the past, and we interview applicants to fill the vacancy, and thank you for your courage to come back.
Courage.
Well, it takes courage to coming from the public. Yes, and nice to see Councilmember Apodaca back again. So we'll be at the door soon. But until then, so the best to you both. Yesterday we celebrated 9/11, and the Blue Mass, as we've been doing that for the last 21 years, and it was along with church, along with the city special, the fire and the police department. We celebrated the 9/11 Mass well attended. So remind the one period 23 years ago for the American. And a question to Mr. City Manager. We received this crime report back on May, and I received a draft and immediately, and I want to just call your attention for the crime report against persons who was on the draft was the robbery was 3, and then the following week we received the robbery and was from 3 to 6. So was there clarification on the? I can't even give it this to you to see it, but was the discrepancy or?
I don't have an exact answer right now, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Yeah, so can you pass him the okay. Used to be at the Silliman Center, the flags used to be at the 3 flags used to be at the poles, and they, for the last 2 or 3 months, something happened to, it was a new thing, the flags are not there flying anymore. So.
Yeah, I've been noticing that as well, and I've been meaning to check in with staff, but I keep forgetting to do that, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Now, I saw on the streets along Cherry and Newark Boulevard, we have a new mini sweeper. I guess it's a little toy. It's a neat. It is efficient, or it is efficient to do the work, because I can see a maintenance truck going along the lines or the next to the bollards to I guess to protect the mini sweeper. So I don't know is it the efficiency of that, but maybe it's on the training mode, if you will. So
It has been an efficient unit, and staff is very happy to use it. We've had to take several passes through those lanes because it went such an extended period of time without cleaning. I don't know the extent that we have to have somebody there as a backup working with them. I don't know if you can speak to that, Mr. Young.
Yes, Vice Mayor. So the sweeper is efficient because it is taking a little longer, and we are testing it out because of the many months that it didn't get swept, the bike lanes there. So it is, there was an accumulation that we had to pick up. So it took a little longer. We are utilizing the truck next to it as a pilot program right now, just for the moment, to test out the mini sweeper and how it affects traffic and how traffic reacts to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I've been received calls, and I've been talking to. It's about 3 businesses in Newark. Well, in Newark eventually. They start doing the remodelings too, and I understand was without permits. And I guess I heard, they told me the city knocked them, put the red tag there on the business because there was not permits, and they are very delayed with the reissues of the permits. And one was the auto parts, and another one was the taqueria, and another one was the coffee shop. So I don't know how.
A taqueria?
Okay, well, taqueria, yeah. So it's, be specific. It's I guess it's the one next to Safeway's store. It's one there, and it's the same parking lot, and the Arrowzone, not Arrowzone, the Craig's Arrow Parts, whoever it is, and there's another coffee shop, Indian. So.
I'm unaware of any businesses that were red tagged. It's pretty rare for our building department to red tag buildings, particularly.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
so too, but
our chief building official is fairly consistent in notifying his supervisor and myself anytime a building is yellow tagged or red tagged, and I have not heard any notification of that. But I'd be happy to.
Claiming delays and all that to get the permit issued and affect their businesses.
It may very well be a county health department issue. I don't know, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Other indirectly affected. Okay, thank you. That concludes my.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Real quickly, folks, I want to take a moment to recognize a young man, Robert Whitlock. Of course, as some of you may know, I call bingo at the Senior Center once a month, and Robert's grandmother, Bridget Mayberry, a real proud grandma, told me that her grandson had achieved a pretty impressive feat. Robert won a full ride scholarship to LSU Shreveport for weightlifting. He's one of the strongest weightlifters for his age in the entire country. He competed and won at the National Youth Championships in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then competed for the Team USA and won at the Youth Pan American Championships in Ecuador. Just one of these accomplishments would have been impressive, but all of these accomplishments at the age of 15 is extraordinary. So we wish Robert continued success in his sport and in his education, and we'll be looking forward to see Robert's name on Team USA at the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. So that was a request from his grandmother, and because we hold no grudge, she told me she lives in Fremont. But she was a proud grandmother who was playing bingo in Newark, so I said I'm happy to recognize Robert, and thank you, Madam City Clerk. We sent Robert a letter of congratulations. I also want to highlight the Blue Mass that was held yesterday. 9/11 was really a somber event in our city. We lost a lot of true heroes on 9/11. A lot of innocent folks were killed that day, and it's just simply a reminder that You know, every day's a new day. Every day we can't take for granted. And we need to make sure that we thank our public safety officers for the work that they do. As I told the 7th graders yesterday at St. Edward after the Blue Mass, I said, these were firefighters and police officers that were running into buildings to save people as people were running away to save themselves. And many of them perished. Many of them were subject to serious health issues as a result of the work that they did. And, you know, we can't forget the true sacrifice that many of those folks made that day. So I want to thank all public safety folks for their service to our communities. We will adjourn this meeting, again, in memory of Senator Ellen Corbett. And we mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting. And now we will be returning to closed session for a conference with real estate negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. Property, Stevenson Boulevard, Newark, California, 94560, APN 537-850-7-1, 537-850-8, 537-850-10, 537-850-11-13. City negotiators will be Mr. Benoon, Mr. Turner, and Mr. Betancourt. The negotiating party, Seamus O'Connor? It's going to go well. And David Bider under negotiation review of price and terms. So we will we'll be going into closed session. Thank you. Any public comment on closed session? None of your properties are involved. No public comment, we'll go to closed session. Thank you, Mr. Jorgens.
Yeah, I think I just bought a